Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month, 2 months in a row. Leave a message at the... Hi, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. I just had a new idea for our song about the Name Your Price tool. So when it's like, tell us what you want to pay, hey, 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 and the trombone goes, blah, 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 and you say, we'll help you find coverage options to fit your budget. Then we just all do finger snaps while a choir goes, statements coming at ya, statements coming at ya. Yes? No? Maybe? Anyway, see you at practice tonight. I got new lyrics for the rap break.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Can the pros keep pace with the experienced Joes tonight? Where will the eclectic value of Nick Chubb wind up this evening? And will Larry Fitzgerald or Mike Evans be selected first? Follow along with the live draft board tonight and listen to our pick-by-pick analysis as we call the action from the 2018 FFPC Pros vs. Joes Ford Pinto League number 6 to see who will win a 2019 FFPC main event team. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Hey, bro.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
Thanks so much, Rob. Greetings and salutations, all of you Balkaholics and Gerzak fanatics. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is the patron saint of fantasy football, Dave Gerzak, better known as the Dizzle. Tonight, it's a sad night. We have the last of 6 special episodes for you. It's the FFPC Pros vs. Joes Ford Pinto League number 6 draft tonight. We'll be covering it for you for the next 2 hours. You can follow the live draft board, of course, at youtube.com/high stakes fantasy football. And I want to give a shout out to the BTR chat room as well as the YouTube chat room. Post your questions that you might have in there. Connect with us on Twitter at HSFFhour, at Eric Balkman, at David Gerzak this evening. You can also post on our Facebook page at facebook.com/HSFFhour. And if you want to chime in and give us a call, please do so at 347-426-3682. That's 347-GAME-OVA. You can also email the show at the inbox, highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. We'll do our best to get to as many chat room questions and emails and tweets throughout the program tonight, thanks to the hard work from our producer and mutual friend, Rob, and our audio engineer, Bryce. So thank you to those guys who are working a lot of overtime in the last couple of weeks. I want to thank Darren Armani again for throwing this together. Check out his website, fantasymojo.com. Great resource for any FFPC player. And let's kick things off tonight and let you know that if this is the first time you're listening to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, we broadcast every Friday night at 10/9 Central. On-demand streaming is always available for listening anytime via Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, and Overcast. Tonight's lineup, the Joes will be drafting in the odd positions. The even positions will be populated by the pros. Leading things off tonight is the FFPC Joe, Sky Eilers. Heard from Sky last night talk about who he said he was going to be picking number 1. And spoiler alert, he came through on that. No surprises there. Shane Hallam from the Fake Pigskin is drafting 2nd tonight. Jason Steves is a longtime FFPC player. He's picking 3rd tonight from Pro Football Focus. Scott Barrett, I think he's making his Pros vs. Joes debut tonight. He is in the 4 spot. FFPC Joes Mark Behrens and Jason Dare are in the 5 spot. Yahoo Sports Scott Pianowski is drafting 6th, right ahead of very accomplished FFPC player, former two-time High Society champion Glenn Lowy. Our good friend Michael Nazarick from FFMastermind.com is right behind Lowy. And then, of course, former guest of the show, you just heard him a couple of weeks ago, Mike Dente, along with Adam Angelillo. They are picking ninth. Former co-host of the show, DraftSharks.com's Matt Schauf, picking 10th. The Joes lineup completed by Scott Hoyt and Steve Dusick tonight at the 11th spot. And 4for4.com's Josh Moore is rounding things up tonight. Dave, we are entering night 6, and I feel pretty good. I'm going to tell you, though, the 6th show, always the challenge for us because we're always trying to unearth new storylines. This is the show I always rely on, the drafters doing something crazy so we can touch on that. Jen Ryan sort of took the cake on that a couple of nights ago when she started off tight end. We'll see what happens tonight, though.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I feel pretty good after, I think having done this for a few years, getting through 6 is not as big of a task. I'm mentally, we're still ready to go.
The fact that, and again, I always come back to this, we split it up over 2 weeks. That's key.
That has helped.
Doing it 6 nights in a row, man, I don't know how we ever did that. And even more importantly, I don't know how we did it. I don't know how the listeners put up with it for 6 nights.
No, it's a little bit, boring after a while.
It does get boring after a while. Let's get into the analysis tonight. First round is complete. A lot of running backs. If you like running backs, there was a hell of a lot of them chosen here in the first round. Kicking things off was Sky Eilers, of course, taking Todd Gurley, as he told us on the show last night that he would be doing. David Johnson, once again, sneaks ahead of Le'Veon Bell at the 2 spot. Shane Hallam grabs David Johnson at the 102. Jason Steves then takes Le'Veon Bell at the 103. Le'Veon Bell's real-life teammate, Antonio Brown, no slippage to the 107 tonight. He goes at the 104 to Scott Barrett. Followed by 6 straight running backs. Ezekiel Elliott to Behrens and Dare. Then it's Alvin Kamara to Scott Pianowski. Saquon Barkley to Glenn Lowy. Kareem Hunt to Michael Nazarick. Leonard Fournette to Mike Dente and Adam Angelillo. And then you have Melvin Gordon going to Matt Schauf at the 110. DeAndre Hopkins and Odell Beckham rounding things out in the at the end of the first round tonight. It's Hopkins to Scott Hoyt and Steve Dusick, and then Josh Moore from 4for4 taking Odell Beckham at the 112. We could talk about the running backs here that went in the first round. I don't think there's much to say other than Johnson over Bell. And if we get a chance, I think we're going to get a chance to talk to Shane Hallam at some point tonight once he gets his draft going, once we get this analysis going. I'm sure we'll have a conversation with him about why he took David Johnson over Le'Veon Bell. I had a great conversation last Friday with Evan Silva from Roto World about why he took David Johnson over Ezekiel Elliott. You can go back to listen to that show from this past Friday. We had Evan Silva on. It was a great show, along with FFPC Joe Doug Goodison. I digress. I think the thing that I guess I'll just center on talking about tonight, two things. Well, 2 things we'll get into. First, Kareem Hunt to Michael Nazarick, Dave. We've seen Hunt slip to the 2nd round in some drafts. We've seen him go as high as I look at my handy-dandy FFPC ADP here. In FFPC best ball formats, we've seen Kareem Hunt, like I said, go in the 2nd round. We've also seen him go as high as the 106. He's pretty volatile this year. Would you be taking Kareem Hunt at the back end of the first round? Is that a player you can invest in?
Yeah, I like Kareem Hunt. I think he's got a good skill set. I think the team is going to be successful. They're a playoff caliber team. Good offensive line, other offensive weapons, which one could argue limit him a little bit, but I like to also argue get him closer to the end zone all the time with Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watt. It's going to be a good team.
It is going to be a good team. Do you think? Did we talk about this about the? And maybe we have. It's kind of blurring together. The comparison we had to the Patriots from a few years ago, with we knew somebody was going to bust, we just didn't know who. Is there something to that? I think we did talk about this.
We did, but it's more likely to be a receiving option than the core running back.
Right.
For Andy Reid.
For an elite offense.
Yeah, and Andy Reid loves to have a one trick. He doesn't like to have a bunch of running backs. He has to have one running back he uses all the time.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Last thing I want to say, 112 tonight is Mr. Flake, Odell Beckham tonight. And I say Mr. Flake because he's been called a little bit flaky on the show by both you and I. Any concern with drafting him, starting your team off with Odell Beckham as an anchor, be it in a Football Guys team, an FFPC main event, a best ball? Do you have any trepidation there with making Odell Beckham your first round pick?
Not necessarily, but, Eli Manning is getting old. I mean, your receiver really is who your quarterback is what really matters. So he's a super talented wide receiver. I would be okay with taking Beckham.
Yeah, Kevin Williamson, by the way, Bourbon City Ballers, FFPC player, longtime listener to the show, which we appreciate, just pointed out that Shane Hallam, drafted from the 2 spot tonight, doing it all, participating in the YouTube chat room, participating in the Blog Talk Radio chat room, and obviously drafting tonight. That is dedication. And you know what? He's going to be calling in too.
Well, he's done these before. So many,
right.
This is like, multi-tabling poker, right? So you probably play like 10 tables at a
right.
time. So this is no big deal for him to do a draft.
Walks up to the blackjack table, wants to play all the seats.
Yeah, he knows what's up. He knows where all these guys get drafted. Beckham, I probably won't end up with a lot of Beckham because some of the running backs that are available around where he goes, I would probably be taking. Like McCaffrey went at the 208. I probably would take McCaffrey, and I wouldn't mind taking him over Beckham, to be honest with you.
Really? Yeah, I guess I can see that.
I love McCaffrey.
I get it.
I think he's going to be a top 10 running back again.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like, this guy goes to the 208. He was an RB9 last year, and he's gotten stronger and a little bit bigger, and he has more Turner, and yet he's still getting drafted at the middle to end of the second round sometimes. So.
Wasp guy chiming in the chat room. Apparently, Shane Hallam plays 3-dimensional chess too. Did not realize that. But
he's like the president.
Yeah, he is. He's like the Bobby Fischer at Pros vs. Joes.
Yeah.
Listen, the other thing I was going to say about what were we just talking about? Beckham. I forgot it. Damn it. That's okay. We can move. Oh, McCaffrey. We were talking about that. Perhaps the biggest obstacle for McCaffrey finishing as a top 10 running back this year is his coach not giving him a breather every now and then if he wants to get him 30 touches a game.
Yeah.
That might be the only thing slowing him down.
We'll go around and be like, what are you doing over here?
Yeah.
Get out there.
Get on the field. Travis Kelce leads off the second round tonight. Kelce going to Josh Moore from 4 for 4, followed by another tight end. So we have tight ends as the first 2 picks of the second round. It's Rob Gronkowski to the FFPC Joe combo of Scott Hoyt and Steve Dusek. Dalvin Cook is the second straight running back to Matt Schauf as he pairs Cook with Gordon in the first round. Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, and Julio Jones, all receivers, all off the board right after that. It's Keenan Allen to Dente and Angelillo. It's Michael Thomas to Michael Nazareth. And then it's Julio Jones to Glenn Lowy to go with Saquon Barkley. Devontae Freeman to Scott Pianowski. He is going running back, which we're seeing a growing trend in this draft of doing that to start off your draft. Christian McCaffrey, as Dave already pointed out, going to Barons and Dare. Then you have Jerick McKinnon as the number 1 running back selected by Scott Barrett. He goes receiver running back to start, Brown, and then McKinnon. Devontae Adams, the final receiver of the 4 chosen in the second round to Jason Steves. Pair of running backs tonight, it's Darius Geist to Shane Hallam. It's Joe Mixon to Yosemite Sam Bradford. That's Sky Eilers, the FFPC Joe drafting there. So he pairs Mixon with Gurley. The only surprise to me in the second round, Dave.
Yes?
The 211. Darius Geist. This is interesting. Shane announced in the chat room my first crazy pick by taking Geist at the 211. How volatile has Darius Geist been in the Pros versus Joes format so far? So we've seen him go at the 506.
Yeah.
The earliest, I can tell you this is surprising. Since July 10th,
yep.
Of all the FFPC best balls that have been done, 120 of them plus.
Okay.
The earliest Geist has gone was the 212. Shane Hallam just readjusted.
Breaking records.
Yeah, breaking records. Shane Hallam. Crazy Shane Hallam.
What's his ADP, though, just so we get this?
309.
Yeah, so, to make Shane's case, maybe he thought Yosemite Sam would take him, right? And
entirely possible.
So he just took him at the 211 versus the 302. Who cares? That's kind of almost the same pick. And he's definitely not getting him it's maybe a 10% chance, 5% chance to get him in that late 4th round, right? I know it happened, but I mean, it's very rare that it happens. So if you want to get him at the 211, that's okay. I actually feel all right about that. It is, technically it's early, but if he's going at the end of the 3rd and you think he's a top 10, top 12 back, I mean, what the hell, you got to do it.
All the reports we've been getting thus far from all the Washington beat writers, and granted, I mean, honestly, if there's reports out there at this point in the season and it's not uber positive, I think that's a semi-red flag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hence Doug Baldwin, like we were talking about before.
I
know we'll get to that.
Okay, we will get to that. I was actually going to discuss Baldwin's teammate, who we talked about before the show. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
We shouldn't talk about either of those players because they're undrafted.
Well, it's not that. It's just let's make it topical. Let's talk about the players that are being selected, after they've been selected.
How this works, Bucky, I'm learning a little bit now.
I think you knew this all along. This is not earth-shattering by any means.
I try to take you off topic as much as I can. But
Chris, believe me, you do a good job.
Thanks.
I'm the Dizzle Wrangler on the show, is how it is. Anyway, the thing I wanted to say about Geis, you could see the pick at 211. You could see the argument for it. I don't think it's a terrible pick by any means. And we, in the whole dynasty season, neither one of us was super high on Geis.
Yeah, I passed. I didn't have a lot of 102 picks. I had like one or two, I believe. I did pass on Geis. This was earlier though, and I think he's kind of proven himself that he's doing very well. I feel like he's kind of moved back up to that 102, 103 range in rookie dynasty picks for me.
Yeah. Well, I had that rookie auto draft last night. I took him at the 102.
You did take him, yeah. Exactly. So I would have done the same thing.
I also had the opportunity, by the way. Well, I don't want to get into it now. Nobody cares. But that's the big pick I wanted to talk about at the 211. Joe Mixon at the 212 too. That seems to be where he has been going in FFPC best ball. For whatever reason, it seemed like he was going a little bit later in pros versus Joe's drafts, but tonight he goes at the 212. Nothing else really stood out to me in the second round. So let's break down the first half of the third round at a minimum. Sky Eilers, after he takes Mixon, he follows that up with Zach Ertz at the 301. So you're getting one of the top big three, the big elite three at tight end. You're getting him at the 301 there. T.Y. Hilton almost made it to the turn, but he falls one spot to the 302 as the first receiver chosen by Darius Geis, the Darius Geis-led Shane Hallam squad. A.J. Green right after that is the second receiver drafted by Jason Steves. Then LaShawn McCoy moves all the way up to the third round tonight to Scott Barrett from Pro Football Focus. He takes McCoy at the 304. Doug Baldwin, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, Doug Baldwin actually goes to Mark Behrens and Jason Dare at the 305. Mike Evans, congratulations. What a great pick as he goes off the board before you know who. Evans is the 306 selected pick by Scott Pianowski from Yahoo Sports. So let's talk about Doug Baldwin. You and I were having a back and forth about him before the show started.
We were having a bicker match.
The news was that he has a bruised knee, I believe you said?
Yeah.
He's expected to miss a few weeks.
He's a little off, is what the Roto World blurb said, and that, it's something with his knee. Isn't quite right.
Good stuff in the chat room right now. Wasp guy chiming in, who you can actually hear draft Friday night in the Football Guys Players Championship right on these airwaves. He says he's nervous about Doug Baldwin.
Yes. Those are, yep.
Shane Hallam said he had Doug Baldwin penciled in to his 211, 302 picks since this past Sunday, but the leg issue is worrisome, so he went with T.Y. Hilton instead. So this is interesting. I mean, we talked about how far he would fall. He did fall, I guess, too much, but middle of the third.
They may not know the news, by the way. There's 12 people here.
That's entirely possible.
One not to know.
Yeah. But still, middle of the third. I guess that's what we need to watch in the FFPC over the next couple of weeks that Baldwin's going to be missing.
Shane says he'll probably be fine, but not worth the risk.
At that point in the draft.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's exactly what I was saying. And it's like you don't want players that are hurt coming into training camp or in training camp during training camp. You just don't want that. I also don't want players coming off a season-long injury where they're just getting their crap together in like August. Like, oh yeah, he's going to be probably ready. It's like, dude, it's been a year.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't want those players on my team. Let someone else take that risk.
Right. Exactly. And Behrens and Dare we're on board with taking that risk at the 305. We'll see how it plays out. Let's see how this phone call plays out as we hit the airwaves early tonight. We're going to go to the 225. You are on the air with David Balke for the Pros vs. Joes coverage. Who's this?
How's it going? This is Brad Pinkstaff from last night in the 10th.
Yes, Brad Pinkstaff. Yes, drafting. By the way, former guest of the show, Brad Pinkstaff, and drafter in the Pros vs. Joes challenge last night. We're excited to hear from you, and we'll take a bit of a respite from this draft. And Brad, we'll talk about what you guys did last night in your Pros versus Joe's draft. Before we kick that off and talk about some of the players, how did it turn out? What do you guys think? Were you happy with it? Was this all part of the plan? What was your initial reaction when you looked at the roster after the completion of the draft?
We've got some holes. We've got to get lucky, but the odds makers put us at what, in fifth spot at 9-1, so we're happy with that. We took a lot of wild cards. You had a call last night, and Matt Kelly was looking for high floor guys. I mean, to us, that's a good way to get you right there in the sixth position. We're trying to win the entire thing. Looking for wild cards, right? I mean, looking for guys. I mean, we've got to hit some of the. You look at the list. Some of the guys we took: Des Bryant, Antonio Gates, 2 quarterbacks early, Nick Chubb early. These are the type of guys that we have to hit, and everyone's doing the same thing, and we wanted to be a little bit different. We weren't too extreme, but we feel like that's the way to win this thing.
Yeah, I look at your draft, and you and Todd Musgrave drafting from the 10th spot last night. As far as the first few picks, I think that as far as where these players are going, that seemed about right. Leonard Fournette, Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill, Sony Michel, Deshaun Watson, George Kittle. That all seems about right. The Nick Chubb pick, which I liked, by the way, and I know Dave did too, he's, for whatever reason, he'd been falling in so many of these Pros versus Joe's drafts, and I think you guys finally took him right where FFPC drafters had been taking him over the course of the year. But let's talk about this, the next pick that you made. This would have been in round 8. You already had Deshaun Watson in round 5. Talk a little bit about why you guys went with Drew Brees to get your second quarterback that early in this draft.
Sure. So, when I was on the call a couple of weeks ago, I basically told you guys what I was going to do, and it almost panned out. We wanted to get D-Hop in round 1, but, we're Saints fans, so we're a bit of homers. But Deshaun Watson, he's electric, just not sure if he can stay healthy. So our goal there was to try to get a number 1 quarterback, knowing that Deshaun could put up big numbers if he's going to stay healthy, and then Brees is up there in the top 3, very consistent. He's dropped off a touch, but he's going to be there every week in case Deshaun Watson went down. Brees was going to be there, and you can see we followed that up with another wild call with Lamar Jackson at our third quarterback spot, knowing that we had some stability with Brees on that pick.
And then you look at what you did. I mean, it kind of cost you a little bit because you take the 2 quarterbacks and the 2 tight ends early in this draft. I mean, you have 2 of each after round 10, but you still get, a potential number 1 receiver in Allen Hurns in the 9th. Des Bryant, if he does land somewhere, that will look like a pretty good pick in the 11th. You lock up the best defense in the league in the 12th. And then you get a couple of high upside receivers in Kenny Golladay and Calvin Ridley after that. Was there any, as you look through the first half of the draft that you guys put together, was there any pick that you were really happy with, a guy that fell to you that you're like, this is going to be good. This we didn't see this happening, but this is going to be a huge boon for our squad here?
Not really, because as I talked about a couple of weeks ago, I take the guys that I want, and we pulled the trigger on most of the guys early, right? Really, if you look at the beginning of the draft before the rollback, Mike Evans, I really liked it to 310, but then it rolled back and we didn't pick him. So we pulled the trigger on a lot of guys before anyone else would. And I know Dave made a comment about me taking the Jags defense at the 12th spot. We as I said in the call, you got to have each position has to be a top 3 position, right? That's the only way you're gonna accumulate enough points to win this thing, and that's what we did, right? Knowing we were going to get 3 defenses, and the third defense was basically dictated on how many were left at when we picked to scoop up a third defense. If you look at the point differential between the Jags and the rest of the defenses last year, it was huge. And it's much easier to pick a top 3 position at the defense position, versus a running back or a wide receiver position. So, and my thought is, why not pull the trigger? Same thing with the kicker. I think we had the second kicker off the board to try to lock up the top 3 positions, which you need at the end of the day when the points margin is pretty slim.
Yeah, I mean, 3 quarterbacks on your squad, 3 tight ends, 3 kickers, 3 defenses. I mean, I think you're really well balanced there. The Antonio Gates pick, I mean, the fact that you had Kittle, you had Seals-Jones, and then you can go ahead and get a guy like Antonio Gates, who I do believe will be a Charger shortly again. You get him in the 24th round, a guy who I believe will be a starting tight end in the NFL. To get him that late, I thought was really good value as well. And then that John Kelly pick, that's interesting too, that you get him late. Those are 2 of my favorites for you with your final few picks.
So 2 things there. You know, our plan at the start was to pick Gates, which is why we took 2 younger guys with maybe some upside, knowing or having the feel that Gates is going to be there. I mean, there's 220 points on the Chargers tight ends. You know, 140 of them went to Hunter Henry. He's out. So we figured that Gates would be the answer, and he should be steady throughout the season. Plug in a couple of wild cards with those 2 young guys at the tight end position. And then what we did late on the running backs, so hard to pick. We looked at the best rookie receiving running backs, hoping to get a third down back in there somewhere. You look at Tavon Austin. I wasn't even aware of it, but he's listed as a running back. And since we only took 3 running backs in the first 16 rounds, so we knew we needed some running back help. And when I saw that, I said, well, this guy may get a couple of catches during the game, which is, 30, 40, 50 yards. Maybe that'll help us.
Yeah, those three running backs you took right in a row in the middle of the draft, Yeldon, Ballage, and Austin. I think that was a good use of those draft picks there, because I think those guys can really help you with the pass catching. I mean, overall, yeah, I think this is a very competitive team. You're obviously in a very competitive league as well, so we'll see how it plays out. But I think I would definitely go to bat with this team, Brad, for sure. Listen, I want to thank you so much for calling in and rehashing this. This has been good. It's always good to talk to you. Best of luck not only in Pros vs. Joes, but in the main event and all your leagues this season, man. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. See you guys soon.
Brad Pinkstaff, ladies and gentlemen, he and Todd Musgrave picking out of the 10 spot in the Pros vs. Joes Challenge last night in the Giant Walkie-Talkie League. Put together a pretty formidable squad. Back to the analysis on tonight's draft as we pick up the action in the mid-third right after the illustrious Mike Evans goes off the board, Dave, at the 306.
He sure is.
Jordan Howard to Glenn Lowy as his second running back. Stephon Diggs is the second receiver drafted by Michael Nazarick from FF Mastermind. Tyreek Hill off the board after that to Mike Dente and Angelillo. Adam Thielen, number 1 receiver for Matt Schauf as he goes back-to-back Vikings. Dalvin Cook in the second, Adam Thielen in the third. Kenyon Drake, the number 1 running back for Scott Hoyt and Steve Dusick at the 311 tonight. A rainbow start there. Back-to-back rainbow starts as Josh Moore also goes with Alex Collins as his number 1 running back to go with Odell Beckham and Travis Kelce. Not much to report on there that we haven't already. Again, Alex Collins goes in the 3rd round. I guess the pick that we can talk a little bit about was one that we had talked about before we were interviewing Brad Pinkstaff there, is the LaShawn McCoy pick as he goes all the way up to the 304 tonight. His ADP in FFPC Best Ball since the news broke about his potential legal issue, or domestic case, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to be crass. But he's been going at the 406. Is it possible, Dave, and call me crazy, you think that the legal stuff might be a little bit overblown? We haven't heard about it. Maybe this is something that is not dealt with in a timely manner. Is it possible that LaShawn McCoy could be the FFPC ascendant for 2018? Is it possible that he could be going in the mid-second round a couple of months ago, fall to the 4th and 5th, and now ascend back up into the 2nd round?
You present an interesting, the way you phrase it, very nice. I don't think so, but anything's possible.
Anything's possible, and I think we need to start considering it at this point, because he's creeping back up, man. He has the earliest he's gone since the news broke was the 202.
Well, part of the problem, though, is that
he has fallen as late as the 707, by the way, too.
That's pretty late.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is that I get a part of the vote, and I still think he's guilty. So that's.
But is it okay? And I don't mean to talk over you. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine that you think he's guilty. However, does it matter what you and I think as far as his guilt or innocence as far as fantasy goes? Don't we just care about what's going to happen to him for his legal proceedings and how the NFL treats it?
Yeah, I mean, but I think that if a person is guilty, the NFL is pretty good at sniffing that out. So I think that he was likely to get suspended then.
Okay. All right.
But, have your fantasies, Balky. Unicorns are out there. I don't care.
Yeah.
Fine. Maybe sure.
Watch guy.
All of a sudden he gets cleared or something, goes skyrocketing up.
Yeah.
We can pull a draft sharks, like one of their first round busts was Ricky Williams,
All right.
who retired 48 hours after they called him their first-round bust in the middle of July, and then they proclaimed that a victory.
Well, whatever.
Lenny, I'm still pissed about that one from how many years ago.
I could see the argument, and I am not pissed at all.
Our first-round bust successful.
Watch.
We drafted in the next 36 hours after we proclaimed it. Good job.
Yeah, they nailed it.
Yeah.
Watch guy, the ascendant pick, much greater than the Madden curse at this point. I don't think it's been that bad, has it?
We had Tyreek Hill last year. What do you think about that?
He worked out.
Yeah. He was awesome.
Some of the ones we've had in the past have
Doug Martin was great when we picked him. That was the one good year he had.
Did we have Amir Abdullah one year? That was not bueno.
Let's just move on.
All right, moving on. That was the completion of the third round. Let's get into the fourth round. Allen Robinson to Josh Moore at the 401. Back-to-back tight end picks then. Hoyt and Dusek take Jimmy Graham, their second tight end off the board. This is interesting to see when you have a team doubling up on tight ends early and they're on one of the ends. Sometimes that has a ripple effect through the rest of the draft. Stay tuned and we'll tell you how it's affecting teams. Spoiler alert, it's affecting them. Greg Olsen right after that to Matt Schauf. I don't know if he was going to take a tight end at that point originally, but the fact that Hoyt and Dusek doubled up on tight ends, maybe that caused Schauf to take Olsen there at the 403, which I think is a little bit earlier than where he has been going.
A little bit. Maybe a tad.
In FFPC best. I don't know, 401 is his ADP, so I guess right around there. Forget it. Derrick Henry at the 404 to Mike Zente and Adam Angelillo. Mark Ingram to Mike Nazarek from FF Mastermind right after that at the 405. And then lowly Larry Fitzgerald. Poor Larry falling all the way to the 406. And if he got taken by a drafter tonight, Dave, that had actually won money, that had actually had a pretty good reputation in the industry, maybe I'd take it a little bit more seriously. But when you have Glenn Lowy taking him, who's, I don't know, won billions of dollars.
I don't know about millions, but you did say two-time high society. When you said that,
yeah,
my heart kind of swooned. I dropped me. I was a little bit, it's exciting.
He's a six-figure grand prize winner, obviously, as well. And back-to-back high society, where you're beating the best of the best in the FFPC has to offer for a $50,000 payday. That's pretty tight.
He's a nice guy, too.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's been on this show. He's been on the High Stakes Lowdown as well.
He's an East Coaster.
He is, and he takes Larry Fitzgerald.
It's good he doesn't talk like a stupid Midwesterner, which is nice.
Weren't we just talking? Where was it? Was different. It was either Sunday or Monday night's draft. Maybe you remember this. But you looked at the team. They were picking closer to the turn. It was like the team 2, 3, or 4, something like that. And you looked like, wow, they. I believe we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize for that. Technical difficulties on the end of the studio here, and I do certainly apologize. We are back. I believe, is the stream back up? I don't think the stream is back up yet. YouTube will be reconnected shortly, ladies and gentlemen.
Shane hears us. Sadly, Shane hears us.
Sadly, Shane hears us. That is, I don't know if it's good or not, but I think we're getting the stream back. Everything is all coming back. It's washing over us like a fresh rain. We're all feeling great. And
I think a tornado went through the area.
That's not true at all, because we would have heard or seen something.
It was pretty clear.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Anyway, to get back into it.
Wow. Wildfires?
Let's get us not talking here.
Oh, we're in Wisconsin.
Not wildfires. Let's go to the 405 and take a phone call in and just make sure everything is all back up
Thanks
to
a lot,
snuff here.
Kim Jong-un.
405, you're on the air with David Balke. Who is this?
It's Danny Mueller, part of Ground and Pound.
Danny Mueller.
What's up, buddy?
We needed those dulcet tones coming on. This is good to hear from you, man. I know. Listen, we'll keep you. We won't keep you on too long because I know you have an early morning ahead of you tomorrow. But you and Jeremy Roach drafted from the 6th spot last night, and we heard from Jeremy give his impression of how the draft was going, at least the first half of it. When you looked at the squad after it was complete, what was your impression? How did it turn out as far as what you thought it would be?
Well, any draft you do never does turn out exactly like you intended or planned. You know, that great philosophical sooth, Michael Tyson, once said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. So,
such a great quote.
You know, but, you know, we kind of, Jeremy and I talked before, and I always kind of follow a general philosophy in best balls. And the thing about the pros and Joes, it kind of is, I think it's kind of good preparation for the live events in Vegas, because these guys don't really draft them like draft masters like I participate in. They're reaching for players just like you're in Vegas, which makes
That's true,
which
actually.
really just throws a lot of curveballs into this, you know. But generally, I'm paying more attention to numbers and roster construction. And, you know, I told Jeremy when we started out, I really wanted to start with running backs. I just feel all the best balls I've done, I just feel comfortable leading with a running back. And in the second round, we speculated. I really thought Ertz would be there. I didn't expect Kelsey to be there. And we was really wanting Christian McCaffrey. We wanted to start out with 2 running backs. I kind of wanted to start out with 2 running backs and a third receiver. You know, kind of go 2-2-1 and then start pounding running backs. I just kind of feel that I've got to have 6 really good quality running backs. And there's tons of receivers on the board, just tons of them. And you know, and there's a lot of late rounds, and in discussing with Jeremy, he's in there in Chicago, and he started just texting me like crazy in the afternoon. Says, you've got to look at Anthony Miller. He's just blowing it up at Bears camp, and so is Trubisky, and blah blah blah. And sent me all kinds of videos and everything, and said, well, you know, I've been trying to move him up my board, so we decided we was going to make an effort to grab Miller. And I thought we had to grab him in the 15th round. And I really, for this, if I was going to take any kind of risk, how I wanted to approach my risk factor and look for upside is I wanted some steady Eddie touchdown guys like Derrick Henry. I said, no, Derrick Henry's my target in the 4th round. And, you know, the controversy is when I backed off from Geis, I was really wanting a receiver there, and I just wasn't that comfortable with all the other ones. And I'm a big Fitz guy because I'm a Cardinal fan. Jeremy doesn't like Fitz as much as I do. So when we got a chance to back up, I was well, let's go grab the guy that we wanted, and instead of Geis, because if I went with Geis, I'd have to grab. I felt compelled to get a receiver in the 4th round. And I really would rather just stick with my guns. But anyway, what I was talking about the risk is I wanted to get stacks going, like you see in DFS. And so we had Kelsey, and I'm a big Patrick Mahomes guy. I'm in Big 12 territory. I've seen that guy for 3 years, and that guy is really, really good. But I really desired to have him as my second quarterback, but when we grabbed Kelsey, I said, wow, I got a stack there, so Kelsey's going to have to be on my board. And then just happened to find Sammy Watkins in the 7th. And so there I had a double stack going with Mahomes. And he had talked me into making our second quarterback be Trubisky, but we got sniped on him. And I just kind of had this love affair for DJ Moore. I just had to have him in the 12th round. I think he should have went in the 10th. I think he should have went the 10th, and I just couldn't believe he kept falling. I said, I've got to grab him. And because of that, I missed out on Trubisky, so I couldn't get my stack going with Miller. So then we just decided, well, let's grab him Eli, because we got a stack with Saquon Barkley. So that's just kind of the weird thinking in my draft strategy. The one player I really reached on is Burkhead. And one thing that's unique about this is it's hard for me to recognize the Joes in here because they don't really use their team names like I see them in best ball. But I know these pros, and I read all their stuff, and I have a lot of respect for them. And Burkhead was coming up in the 6th, and I was really wanting to get him in the 7th, but I knew he would not get past Paulson. And Paulson had 2 shots at him before me, so I had to grab him before it got to Paulson. Because actually, I'd rather paired Burkhead with Sony Michel, but somebody reached for Michel in the 4th, and so that just didn't work out. But anyway, that's just a weird philosophy, whether it works or not.
So let me ask.
I won this.
Danny, let me ask you about that. Can I ask you? So you talk about stacking a lot, and you laid a few different examples actually that did work and some that didn't work out for you. You guys have played so many different. You've played many years, many best balls. So and you've had a lot of success. Do you generally just do this? Is this something you found success in general that's really helped you win titles?
I've used it before, even in the main event. One of my best teams is really kind of placed high in the main event. I had a stack of Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell, believe it or not, which was awesome. I don't. That's not what I. That's not necessarily what I plan on when I go in there. But in this one, that's where I thought I might differentiate myself a little bit in this draft by trying to do some stacks. And,
nice.
and
Love
whether
the
it works
DJ
or
Moore
not,
pick,
we'll never know.
Yeah, I thought it was great. You have the bulky pick with Mahomes back-to-back with the Dave pick and DJ Moore.
Yeah, bulky has Mahomes ahead of Drew Brees, so you're in good hands with Mahomes.
I would have this hot take bulky time. I wouldn't even have drafted another quarterback. Just take the 0 on Mahomes bye week. You're fine. It would have been great. I look at your team, Danny. We obviously really liked it. You get those high volume potential touchdown scorers and Henry, Freeman, and Burkhead. The one guy, I am looking at, just comparing what you put together here as far as your stacks. You didn't get any Buffalo pass catchers to go with your 27th round pick in Josh Allen.
Yeah, I know. The way I do it the quarterbacks, I pick up a late round rookie flyer at the end, and it was between Darnold and Allen, and I thought, well, Allen looks like he might be starting, and he kind of runs the ball some, so he might do something. I really think, though, if I lose a quarterback, I'm probably toast anyway. So it's probably not going to matter the third quarterback that much.
And the last thing I'll say about this team, I really, basically from the, I like Mike Evans, obviously, and Watkins I'm not the biggest fan of, but I get it. I'm starting to warm up to him. And then you have Edelman. The receivers after that, I really love every single pick. DJ Moore, Anthony Miller, Keelan Cole, Taywan Taylor, Ryan Grant, Kiki Qt, Antonio Callaway. I mean, I think these are all potential.
Oh, you got QT as well.
You got QT, yeah. You got cute with QT in the 25th round, Dave. And
taking him in dynasty leagues on me all over the place.
Yeah, well, I just I look at this roster. I think it can do a lot of damage here. Obviously, it will with Patrick.
The Duke Johnson pick too. That was in the 9th round, wasn't it?
Duke Johnson was selected in the 8th round.
8th round. It's like that's just. I mean, he's a top.
No. You're right. It was 9th. It was 9th.
I think he was the number 14 or 15 running back last year in PPR.
Yeah, he was right up there.
I mean,
yes.
Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Danny, the last thing before we let you go.
Go ahead.
The last thing before we let you go, I do want to ask you, and I'll leave this up to you. We had Jeremy on. We were interviewing him when you guys were about to make your 10th round pick, and he said on the air, this is a total Danny pick. I didn't give him any feedback. We'll see what he picks here. It was an auto pick with Naheem Hines, which I actually like the selection of Hines. But do you want to share with us the issue that took place in round 10 with that auto pick?
True confessions.
Okay, well, here's the honest to God truth. I'm in the middle of the round. These guys are drafting at a pretty good clip. And usually, we're at the end of the round, so I have time to make a bathroom run. And I'm an older fella, and the plan was I was going to text Jeremy and say, cover me for one round so I can make a bathroom run. and he's on the air with you guys. And I held out as long as I could, so I just put the guy.
And Balky kept talking.
And Balky kept talking. I made a run, and by the time I got back, it just picked, So.
That's awesome.
And Jeremy texted me.
Yeah,
what
90 seconds.
What happened? What happened? But,
yeah, that was compelling stuff from the ground and pound crew for sure. So, but the rest of your draft, you were good then. I mean, you take the auto with Team Hines, and then it shaped up really well.
I was really kind of pleased that we kind of felt a little light with tight ends, and that Vance McDonald, our injury got us concerned going into the draft, but we just kept researching it. So, he's in the 13th round. He usually goes in the 10th. What the heck,
Yeah,
one thing about Mike Evans is I really haven't been that much on him this year, but listening to Evan Silver the other night, he put such a very compelling argument for Evans. I said, I need to rethink him. And so that's kind of wise on him.
Yeah, so, Silva has really good analysis. It's very well thought out. It's like the opposite of what we do. We're like, I don't like him. So Silva actually did have a really good point, and I do like Mike Evans in a general sense. I do like him. I think I like Fitz a little bit better, but that's just me.
Well, probably a gun to my head. I'd probably, it's hard for me to take the difference between the two, but I'm a little bit biased as a Cardinal, and Larry Fitzgerald has won me a lot of money. So.
Over the years, that's for sure. Fitzgerald's a big money winner. Danny says, thanks so much for calling in. Are we hanging out like this Saturday? Are you guys watching college football in Vegas? So are we going to get the next Grambling pick?
Oh, sure.
We have to figure this out on Saturday night.
Well, you're the one that came up with that one. So.
It was the last game on the board.
We're waiting. You guys said that and then laughed, and I said, well, let's give it a shot.
Let's see if the white rainbows are on the board.
There's going to be some good college action, and we'll check it out. We can't wait. We can't wait to see you guys in Kentucky and then in Vegas. Danny, thanks so much for calling and breaking down your draft. Best of luck to you in Pros versus Joes and in all your leagues this year, especially the main event. As well, we'll talk to you again in a few weeks, man.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Sounds good.
Danny Miller, ladies and gentlemen, one half of Ground and Pound. Yes, go ahead.
So Jeremy and Danny are both coming to Kentucky?
I believe that is correct, yes.
You know what? I probably should have asked him that before we just hung up on him.
What? Oh, about coming to Kentucky? I
thought you said you referenced Jeremy might be coming.
Jeremy is for sure.
Because Jeremy's from Chicago, Danny's from Oklahoma.
Right. They meet in the middle.
And we're going to be in southern Indiana.
Right.
In the whatever casino. The Horseshoe.
The Shoe.
I love the Shoe.
Shoe is great. Let's get back to the live draft action here. We left off with Amari Cooper in the 4th round. Delaney Walker, the first tight end chosen in the by I got the wrong.
The Amity Hookers.
The Amity Hookers. Yeah, that's Barron's and Jason's there. I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about Danny's draft, and I'm not focusing here properly.
You're thinking about the Hookers.
Right. Rashad Penny, the 3rd running back chosen by Pro Football Focus, is Scott Barrett, followed by Jay Ajayi. He is the 2nd running back chosen by Jason Steves. The 3rd running back selected by Shane Hallam is indeed Lamar Miller, and completing the 4th round is Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones at the 412 tonight to Sky Eilers as his 3rd running back. In the 4th round, I don't think there's anything that we need to harp on too much. Tight ends are flying off the board.
One thing I was going to say, Allen Robinson went at the 401 in this draft. Last night, he went at the 512, right? 512, 601. It was Allen Robinson and Juju who just went at the 503. That just shows the massive value that the 12th pick got last night, the 512, 601. Allen Robinson and Juju.
Yes, that is. Yep, that's correct. Yeah, Robinson. I don't even know why I bother checking. You and Ludo are all over this.
Yeah, it was yesterday. I mean,
yeah. Well, I forget. I mean, honestly, I don't remember this kind of stuff.
Well, I have no life.
Do a ton of these. Kicking off the 5th round. Oh, which, by the way, the other thing I want to say, the fact that Hoyt and Dusick grabbed 2 tight ends early, they're starting to be drafted a little bit more aggressively now since that team loaded up with 2. And spoiler alert, in the 5th round, they weren't the only ones to draft 2 tight ends early. 501 is Deion Lewis of Sky Eilers, and his first 5 picks tonight 4 running backs and 1 tight end. Dion Lewis is his 4. Kyle Rudolph is the number 1 tight end for Shane Hallam. Juju Smith-Schuster tonight off the board at the 503 to Jason Steves. Demarius Thomas, the number 2 receiver for Scott Barrett, there at the 504. Evan Engram is the selection for the Amity Hookers. That's Mark Behrens and Jason Dare. They go with Evan Engram at the 505 tonight, and that is their second consecutive tight end drafted, as they went with Delaney Walker at the 408. Golden Tate at the 506, followed by Sony Michelle to Glenn Lowy, Tate to Pianowski, Michelle to Lowy. Jordan Reed, the number 1 tight end for Michael Nazarek, there in the 5th round at the 508. 509 is Brandon Cooks, the 3rd receiver drafted by Mike Dente and Adam Angelillo. And then trio of running backs, complete round 5. Marshawn Lynch to Matt Schauf, Royce Freeman to Hoyt and Dusick, and then you have Rex Burkhead off the board at the 512 to Josh Moore. Anything you'd like to say in the 5th round here, Dave? Is I know you commented on Juju Smith-Schuster already. Anything else that's sticking out to you? And if not, that's okay.
By the way, when was Amari Cooper's average draft spot? Scott Pianowski, you got him at the 406. I thought that was a little bit of a deal.
It was a little bit of a deal, as his ADP is 403. Nice job. Yeah, 403 is where he normally goes.
All right. Yeah, I mean, 5th round, it was fine. I think these guys they're being pretty friendly on the tight ends. In fact, I think this is probably the least tight endy, if that's a word, draft.
It is now.
It's the least tight endy draft of all.
Yeah.
This is like they're letting them fall.
They are letting them fall. We will let the draft analysis take a bit of a pause here as we are through 5 rounds here on the HSFF Hour. Let's go back to the phone lines, and I'm going to go to the 763 here. You are on the air on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour with Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. Who are we speaking with?
This is Sean.
Sean, thanks for calling in, man. Any comment on the live draft that you're seeing tonight?
Let me see here. Yeah, everything looks pretty solid everywhere. Everybody's drafting that. I guess my comment was, what do you guys think about the Chargers and with the addition of picking up Mike Pouncey? Do you think that how good do you think Melvin Gordon's going to do this year?
It's interesting you say that because I did make an off-season trade, which Dave said I got in Dynasty, which Dave said I got the short end of the stick on with Melvin Gordon. So I'm obviously a little bit probably more bullish on what Dave's thoughts are on Melvin Gordon. I don't have a problem with him at the end of the 1st round. There's probably a few guys I like better there. Had the opportunity to draft either Melvin Gordon or Dalvin Cook in a recent draft, and I actually went with Cook instead. So. I think the thing is with Gordon, I kind of like Austin Eckler carving out a role on 3rd downs there. So I question if Gordon is going to get enough receptions to make him viable in the 1st round. So certainly if you wanted to take him there, I have no problem with it. I don't think it's a bad pick. I would probably find somebody else I like a little bit better. Dave, your thoughts on Gordon in 2018?
My concern with Gordon was always his low yards per carry. And now, I always look on the Chargers because everyone always gets hurt on the Chargers. So I'm concerned that everyone's going to keep getting hurt, that their trainers should all be fired. And so I don't know. Gordon could be okay. He's not the type of guy I would probably take versus like McCaffrey or Cook or Kareem Hunt. And those players all get drafted in that same general area. And it's not that I dislike him. I think he's fine.
Leonard Fournette or Melvin Gordon? You have an opinion there?
I would take Fournette, better defense, better offensive line.
Okay. Sean, FFPC drafters are selecting Dalvin Cook. Are selecting Melvin Gordon at the 110. So certainly they are of the belief that he is going to have a big season as well.
All right. Thanks a lot for your help.
Thank you, Sean, for calling in. Appreciate it. Always like hearing from listeners during the draft, and we don't necessarily have to talk about the draft that's going on. God knows we've done 5 of these already. We're on our 6th. There's been a lot of angles already discussed on this show. So it's always,
we talk about other crap all the time, too, like
we really do.
Or car maintenance or who knows what.
Yeah, exactly. We're all over the place. Let's get back into the place of the 6th round here. As we completed Rex Burkhead as the 512. Marvin Jones is the 601 tonight to Josh Moore from 4-for-4. Quarterbacks again start coming off the board tonight in the 6th round. I think they were doing that earlier in the first week of Pros versus Joes. They actually went a little bit earlier this week. Aaron Rodgers at the 602. Corey Davis at the 603 to Matt Schauf as his number 2 receiver. The first tight end drafted by Mike Dente and Adam Angelillo is Trey Burton here tonight at the 604. Deshaun Watson to Michael Nazarick, followed by Jack Doyle as the number 1 tight end drafted by Glenn Lowy. Trio of receivers right after that, Chris Hogan to Scott Pianowski, Julian Edelman to the Amity Hookers, that's Mark Behrens and Jason Dare, and then you have Josh Gordon off the board at the 609 tonight. Dave, of
Sixth
those,
round.
Yeah, 6th round. Of those 3 receivers, I love how I put you on the spot with this.
Yeah. Sorry.
Who do you like best, Gordon, Edelman, or Hogan as a 6th round selection?
Oh, man, that's kind of tough, really. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to take Gordon. Give me Gordon. I'll tell you why. Hogan, you don't know what his role is because of Edelman. Edelman, you don't know what his role is because he's out for 4 weeks. And then you still have Gronk to deal with, who's definitely the number 1. And then, the Patriots, they don't have, 100-yard, or they don't have 100-catch guys anymore. I don't think Edelman is a 90-catch, even over a 16-week season prorated for the 12-week season. I just don't think he's that anymore. He's too old. I'll take the risk with Gordon. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong.
I said yesterday on these airwaves how I had the decision in a slow draft I was in between Alshon Jeffrey and Josh Gordon. And I chose Jeffrey. You made the snap decision. Oh, yeah, it's Jeffrey for sure.
Yes, I would take Jeffrey over Gordon.
Came back around to me today. Josh Gordon was still out there.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I'm like, I at this point I have to take him. And it was the 801. And obviously it's good value. He's my number 3 receiver. I felt okay about it. You feel like a guy who, by the way, is ADP and FFPC best ball is the 410. So, he's been a 4th round pick. I should feel a lot better about that pick than I do, and I'm still nervous about it, even in the 8th round.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So it's weird how that draft value is working out with Josh Gordon. He's still all over the place. In fact, if you look at
Jeffrey went a whole round, went right after the same player as Gordon.
Right.
In the same draft. Go ahead.
Josh Gordon has been going as early as the 302 in FFPC best balls. Again, this is over the last 3 weeks. As early as the 302, as late as the 710. So you're talking about a wide range of value for Josh Gordon.
But since he didn't report to camp, we said he should drop a couple of rounds, and he has dropped a couple of rounds. He's gone from the 4th to the 6th, from what we're seeing. In this super small sample size of 3 other drafts.
What about this? Let me pose this to you. He reports to camp. Okay.
Yeah.
Preseason week 2 he catches a touchdown. Preseason week 3 he goes for 90 yards.
Sure.
Ascendant 2018. Josh
he's
Gordon.
got a shot. Actually, yeah he is.
Is he young enough? Does he pass the age restriction?
Yeah, who cares? But one thing is, you're hearing, various great players are saying this. He doesn't want to be on hard knocks. I think Shane Helm said that.
Drafters, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't want to be on hard knocks, so he doesn't deal with all the crap.
Yeah.
It's not a bad strategy overall. Why would you want to have all these cameras around you all the time when you're a former meth head or whatever he was doing?
Does he?
Actually, I think he just smoked pot.
Did he have any sort of mental health, social anxiety issues with Gordon?
I don't know. I don't really know.
Because that would make a lot. That would make.
HIPAA laws prevent me from researching that appropriately.
It's funny that's how you've been blocked as far as I research the health of all these players to the hilt until HIPAA blocks me from finding out any more.
I hired a Thomas Magnum was his name, and he went for it, but didn't quite get what I needed.
Shane Helm says that he does have massive anxiety, so that that makes a lot of sense.
Hey, who doesn't, buddy?
Yeah, well, maybe not to the level of
Actually,
Josh Gordon. We certainly wish him the best.
I'm not very anxious.
Let's wish this caller the best. It's the 412 on the airwaves. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air with David.
Shane had to call it out in the chat room, for God's sake.
Hey, this is Shane Helm. I don't want to talk about the draft. I'd rather talk about the Jets, if that's okay. You guys have had the best callers through the Pros versus Joes this year. This has been phenomenal.
Let's talk about the Jets' offensive line. Is this Shane P. Helm? Because, there's other Shane Helms out there. I want the middle initial cool one.
Shane P. Helm, of course. There's no substitute for that.
Thank you. Oh, man, thank you very much.
Yeah, I didn't know. And you are right with the calls we're getting for PBJ this year. It's been pretty a wide variety of subjects have been broached on this show, which I appreciate. Shane, you are doing, I guess, what is it, triple duty, drafting and participating in 2 different chats tonight. You've been all over the place. Despite all those distractions, how has your draft, what are your opinions on it here as we enter into round 9?
I think it's gone pretty well. Definitely my first, couple. I've gotten sniped a couple times, picked before. I did not want Lamar Miller at the 4-11. I wanted Jay Ajayi. He went one pick before me to the Canadian Beavers, so that was a little disappointing. But for the most part, I've stuck to my plan. I think I've gotten a good balance of risk versus reward, and I'm pretty happy with it.
How integral was Darius Geis at the 211 in your plan? Because I think that's been the pick of the night so far. We've seen a wide variety of where he's been going. Talk a little bit about what went into Geis at the 211 for you tonight.
Yeah, I think Dave kind of nailed it when he kind of gave his analysis of that. I was really kind of planning Geis for the 302 when I saw Sky, who called in yesterday at the number 1, already have 2 running backs. And have a tight end. I figured, I think I can get one of my receivers at that 302. I like T.Y. Hilton. I like Doug Baldwin. The knee scared me a little bit. So I took Geis the 211. I kind of have him slotted at the 302. And that's kind of my upside swing. I think David Johnson is the best running back in the NFL. And to me, that's a pretty safe pick. Wrist injury, whatever. I think Darius Geis, with the news today, Chris Thompson's leg might not be ready till November. He might not be 100%. And I look at that team. Who else do they have? Samaje Perine, he can't catch a ball to save his life. Rob Kelly looks like, I don't know, the refrigerator Perry at running back. So I think ultimately Darius Geis, even though he doesn't have a pedigree in college of catching the ball, he was good. Kind of like Melvin Gordon was. He never caught the ball at Wisconsin. You guys would know that. But he was a good pass catcher. They just didn't use him in that way. I think LSU did the same thing with Geis. They had the worst quarterback I've ever seen drafted in my life. The Patriots took this year. So I think Geis is going to be able to catch some passes. And I think these rookies are what can make the win. The pros versus Joes, I'm always middle of the pack. Every year I play way too conservative, and I end up just in the middle 6 years in a row. So this year I figure I'm going to swing for the fences with a couple of these rookies since that's kind of what I do.
Good for you, man. I always like it when people are drafting to win. That's always great. And speaking of great, I like a lot of these picks that you made after the Hilton and Miller picks. Kyle Rudolph in the 5th, I like that. Michael Crabtree, of course, he was in the news today talking about how many targets he's been getting, especially in the red zone in Baltimore training camp. Kerryon Johnson, a guy who's been rising up boards. Certainly, you get him in the 7th round. Talk a little bit about that Robbie Anderson selection in the at the end of the 8th round, and sort of what your expectations are for him in New York this year.
I don't know what to expect with the Jets and their passing game. I mean, last year in the pros versus Joes, I drafted Quincy Enunwa fairly early. 10 hours later, he was out for the season. So that's probably not a good omen for Robbie Anderson, I guess, for me drafting him. But I really liked his talent last year. I think whether you have Josh McCown, whether you have who I think is the best quarterback, the 3 and Teddy Bridgewater throwing the ball, I think Anderson's still going to be that number 1 target. I think they're going to pass a lot. I don't really love any of their running backs. So as a wide receiver 3 to get the top wide receiver on a team, to me that's a win, and there's a pretty big upside there for him.
Yeah, in chat room obviously split on their opinions on Robbie Anderson. Wasp guy chiming in saying he's undervalued, and then Aunt Jemima says expect 2 arrests from Anderson.
He says, but not inviting him over.
Yeah, he's not the type of guy you want to have a conversation over a latte with. But whatever, that's cool. Andrew Luck, you're back on board. He's going to be the man this year as you make him your 902 selection.
Yeah, I'm in. I really didn't think that the quarterbacks they aren't flying off the board at all. So I didn't expect Luck or Wentz or either of those guys to be there in the 9th. I felt like I have 4 running backs, 3 receivers. There's not another receiver I liked. I think if Marquise Goodwin would have fallen another pick, I probably would have taken him at the 902. Just that, the reports out of camp and his speed is phenomenal. I saw him down at the Senior Bowl. I interviewed him when he was down there. I mean, his speed was phenomenal then and continues to be. But to me, I felt like I can take Andrew Luck. If he is back, if he's the Andrew Luck of old, or even 90% of it, stacking him and T.Y. Hilton, that could be a potential win in the pros versus Joes, and I think that's a risk worth taking in the 9th round to possibly get an elite quarterback. If he didn't have this injury, if he would have played last year, even if he wouldn't have been that good, I think he would have went before this 902 pick. So it's a little gamble on the health. I think quarterback's super deep, and I think I'll get some other guys to back him up and kind of hedge my bet a little bit.
I'm down with that pick because, it's like you said, you take Luck, and there's still a couple quarterbacks that'll be fine after him.
Wait, you're down with that pick?
I'm down with it. I'm okay with it.
Wow. Okay. This is breaking news.
Well, it's a best ball format. It's like quarterbacks are pretty reasonable.
All right, that's fine. Swinging for the fences, Shane Hallam joining us on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour tonight. Of course, everybody follows you on Twitter. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people follow you on Twitter at Shane P. Hallam. Of course, you cover fantasy football, the NFL draft, college football, as well as dynasty formats and Devy formats for the Fake Pigskin, fakepigskin.com. Do you have anything you want to promote? Anything that's coming down the pike for you there?
Yeah, I just released my off the radar Devy picks at each position. That's up on Fake Pigskin. I have a podcast appearance that I'm dropping tomorrow with a Devy mock draft. So, if the FFP ever wants to start Devy leagues, Dave, wink, wink, you need someone to coordinate that. I'd be happy to do it, man. It's the wave of the future. So, Devy leagues, start drafting those seniors in high school right now.
Oh my God! In order for us to give you a little peek behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz crap,
or a big peek.
For us when we start all these drafts early, we have to go on like CBS Sportsline. This is just for the rookies coming in. Like, go on Sportsline and like Walter Football, which Walter, if you ever read on their website, that thing loads like total shit. It's like the worst website. It's from like Ant Sports 2004.
We'll never have anybody from Walter Football.
You're trying to ranking. It's the worst. You're trying to figure out this guy's going in rounds 2 to 3 or 6 to 7. You're trying to know kickers that are getting drafted. So you put together like 150 guys and you send them to our software people and say, all right, load these guys in there and we'll see what happens.
Right.
And so it usually works, and there's a couple players that get picked. So to go to Devy,
Devy,
whatever. So like these kids that are like 17, 18 years old, their pimples still on their face,
right?
And try and put them into our database. I'm not sure we're gonna get there, but who knows?
Well, if we do, Shane will be heading that up.
I'll gladly make the list.
For sure. There you go.
I have a list of 1,200 players right now, Dave. I'm ready at your beck and call. I can help.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Shane, have you ever loaded our draft room before? You know how it just sits there for like a couple seconds and it's really annoying? Add 1,200 players to it. It's 20 seconds. All right,
great.
Actually, it's not the worst idea in the world.
No,
we don't want we'd want like the first 100.
Yeah,
maybe.
We'll figure it out.
It's not totally out of the realm of possibilities. We should talk actually.
Yes, this is something to be fleshed out off the air. Something that cannot be talked about off the air. And Shane, this last question I have for you before we let you get back into the draft here. Aunt Jemima says we're supposed to ask you about your thespian accolades before we let you go tonight.
So I'm a high school teacher, and I actually direct the musicals at the high school that I teach at. So I'm going into my 9th year doing that. And he's talking about, so when the Tony Awards were on this year, they had a little promotion of like tweet out a picture of you in high school in your high school production. So I tweeted the worst picture I could find. My sophomore year of high school, I played Gollum in The Hobbit, which was before any of the movies ever came out. I was actually in blackface, which is not something anyone should do. And so of course my Dynasty League mates found that picture on Twitter, and that has been plastered all over our group me. So John is very excited, I'm sure, about that.
Well, Shane, you always are precious, for sure, in the pros versus Joes. Certainly always good to talk to you and follow your draft, and of course, follow all your work at Fake Pigskin, and follow you on Twitter at Shane P. Hallam. Thanks so much for coming on the show tonight. Really appreciate it, man, and good luck in all your leagues this year, dude.
No, thanks to you guys. This is my favorite event of the year because of these podcasts. I know it's a lot of work. Big thanks to Darren Armani for putting this together. Like the three of you just rock this out. So I want to say thank you for everything you do for this too.
Well, thank you, Shane. Yeah, we definitely appreciate that. And
I would like to note that Alex does literally nothing for this.
We don't need to.
He's like, oh, this pro's pretty good. This guy's cool, and he's got a lot of Twitter followers. That's all Alex does.
I have
like
to
nothing.
remove all pots from the studio when we broadcast, so you cannot stir anything when we're on the air. It's getting out of hand.
Alex doesn't do anything for this.
Shane, break a leg the rest of the way in your draft. We certainly wish you the best. That was Shane Hallam, ladies and gentlemen, from Fake Pigskin. We left off as far as the live draft analysis.
No, Chris doesn't do anything for this either, by the way.
Why? I don't understand why you continue to throw
Mike, Mike, who's their compliance officer.
Yes,
he doesn't help with
because he's the compliance officer. He shouldn't be.
These drafts are compliant.
Mike is up to his neck in paperwork to try to be legal in all these states. I don't want him.
There's no cost, Mike, to these drafts.
Anyway, where did we leave off?
Don't worry about Mike. Don't worry about it.
We left off, I think, in. I know where we left off with the Josh Gordon pick. So to complete the 6th round, it was Tariq Cohen to Jason Steves, it was Michael Crabtree to Shane Hallam, and then George Kittle, the 2nd tight end drafted by Yosemite Sam Bradford. No receivers through 6th round for Sky Eilers from the 1 position. That is something we have not seen. We saw the 0 WR done with 5 rounds, not 6 rounds. He does fix that with Jarvis Landry as his choice at the 701. Kerryon Johnson to Shane Hallam at the 702. Russell Wilson is indeed the 3rd quarterback off the board tonight to Jason Steves at the 703. Alshon Jeffrey, the number 4 receiver drafted by Scott Barrett, followed by Sammy Watkins, the 3rd receiver selected by Mark Behrens and Jason Derrick. 4 straight running backs go right after that. It is C.J. Anderson to Scott Pianowski as his number 3. It is Tevin Coleman to Glenn Lowy as his number 4. It is Duke Johnson to Michael Nazarick as his number 3. And then Jamal Williams, the 3rd running back selected by Dente and Angelillo.
Hey, Bulky, why don't you tell me who your favorite running back is out of those 4?
That's a good question. And certainly,
I'm going to do a Bulky to you.
If you listen to the show, a lot of people would say, oh, Bulky loves C.J. Anderson this year. He almost made that wager with Dave on the show, and I didn't. To me, it's clear. It's Duke Johnson out of those 4. He's definitely despite Nick Chubb and Carlos Hyde in that backfield, I don't think Duke Johnson's role gets changed all that much. He is my favorite out of those 4. Do you agree?
Yeah, me too. To be honest with you, actually, I do agree.
Okay, fair enough.
Nice job, Mike.
Cam Newton to Matt Schauf right after that. Cam Newton is the 1st quarterback selected by Schauf all the way in the 7th round. Nice value there. Jamison Crowder, the 2nd receiver drafted by Hoyt and Dusick. And then his real-life teammate Chris Thompson to Josh Moore. I did not – I know people have been alluding to it in the chat room, Dave, and maybe you can bring it up as far as some news on Chris Thompson and his potential slow start to the season, his potential leg injury or leg issue that he's having. A lot of people seem to be scared by it. Do you have any news or that you can share with us as far as Chris Thompson goes?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I really don't. I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to Chris Thompson. But
because, I mean...
If you look at Geis moving up, that's a good sign.
It's a very good sign for Geis.
Yeah, Shane makes some good points. And when you look at Darius Geis's size and speed, he's not this 245-pound Derrick Henry size type back. He looks like a player who could actually learn to catch the ball. So it's like I get what he's saying in that Geis is if he's a Pro Bowl caliber running back.
Right.
I mean, how the hell hard is it to teach a guy to run a route and then catch it? It's really not that hard.
I don't know. It's been pretty difficult for Eric Ebron.
So he's just never been good at it.
You know what? If you are born with stone hands, it's very difficult to grow human hands in place of those, or learn to catch with cinder blocks.
I mean, Thompson is a 3rd round back. Well, they obviously love Geis, so we'll see. I would not be drafting Chris Thompson myself. I own him in one dynasty league. If I get anything out of him, I'll be happy with it.
It's funny. In a draft today, I was deciding I was going to go with a running back, and I was deciding between him and Marlon Mack, and I went with Marlon Mack.
Yeah, of course, that makes sense.
Okay. Anyway, moving.
That was in a dynasty league?
No, it was not in a dynasty league.
Wow.
What do you mean, wow?
No, I mean, wow, you're doing all sorts of stuff. You're working, you're drafting all these leagues.
Well, I mean, it is a slow draft, so it's not like, it doesn't take that much time to make a couple of clicks.
Football guys,
Yeah. Well, you'll be able to read my work on that at footballguys.com.
I'm actually happy I didn't they asked me and I said yes, and then they didn't get back to me, so this is great.
Maybe that league they just haven't filled yet.
No, but it was supposed to start around, I think maybe it's filled, and then they let me be bounced. It was great.
Yeah,
This was like getting called for jury duty, and By the way, when they do jury duty, they always call 13 people. This happened to me once.
Okay.
So it was kind of annoying because then you have to listen to the whole stupid case, right? And then they tell you which one is the person that's an alternate and gets to bail because no one else went crazy during that day, and I was the alternate.
Yeah.
So I listened to this whole stupid case about somebody hitting a bird or a dog or whatever, car crash crap, and then I was the alternate, so I just left.
I have 2 stories to share about jury duty.
Yeah.
I have been called to jury duty.
That's right. You did get called one year.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Not once, not twice, not even 3 times, not 4 times, but 5 times. I am 38 years old. I've been called to jury duty 5 times.
Have you ever served?
I have never served. And
you are a piece of shit.
Now here's the thing.
Sorry.
3 of those times happened when I was in school. And
in college?
Yeah, in college. In college. And I wrote the judge a letter all 3 times saying, like, I'm working full time, I'm going to school full time, I really can't, I would ask, and I was excused. The 5th time was when I was going to be in Las Vegas for the FFPC.
Right.
And I wrote a letter explaining which that one was like a serious murder trial, I guess, that was going on.
That'd be cool to do.
Yeah, I found out about it after the fact. Yeah. Wow. The only time I went was the very first time I got called. I was 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Went there, got in there. They're briefing us, giving us everything that's going on. I am not. This next part is going to sound like I'm making it up.
And you said I hate white people.
I'm not making this up.
That's what you got to say. I hate all races.
Can I select the story? Just let me tell it.
My joke's is funny though, so don't worry about it.
Everything was going smoothly until the judge asked the prosecutor to share some info or something. The prosecutor sheepishly stood up. Apparently, there was some evidence that they needed to proceed with the trial that was locked up in an evidence room. Okay?
Yeah.
The only person who had a key to said room was on vacation in Arizona and would be there for the next 2 weeks.
This is in Appleton?
This is in Appleton.
Oh, my goodness.
Rather than have somebody with a copy of this key or have them mail the key or do, FedEx it or something, they postponed the trial, reselected the jury a month or 2 later, and they let us all go on a half-day pay.
That's hilarious. So you got paid a half day for sitting up.
And I was there for maybe 20, 25 minutes.
Oh, bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So great.
Unbelievable. So that's about jury duty stories. Thank God this is the last one because we are grasping at straws.
It's kind of interesting because everybody has their own stories to it. And I would have no problem serving actually. Right? I'm giving blood tomorrow, so I'm doing my work.
I don't know if that's civic duty.
I'm saving lives tomorrow, damn it.
Yeah, I guess.
It's good stuff.
Apparently you are.
I have O negative. That's the universal blood donor, by the way.
Getting back to...
everyone loves my blood, bulky.
I don't even... what's weird? I don't even know my blood type.
Well, when you get in a motorcycle accident, people are going to ask.
I don't ride motorcycles. Well, so I should be good, right? You can't get into a motorcycle accident if you don't ride one.
Well, you'll probably be safer.
I went on a go-kart tonight with my kid, and my wife said to me, she's like, have you ever been on a go-kart with Lucas, my son? Have you ever been on a go-kart with him before? I turned to her and said, honey, I don't know if I've been on a go-kart before. honest to God, I don't remember being on a go-kart.
It's pretty fun.
It was all right.
It's like a smaller Mini Cooper.
Yeah, kind of. I was super low to the ground on my knees. I'm not a tall man, but my knees, I felt like they were 3 feet above my head. I was so cramped in that thing. 8:01 tonight is Randall Cobb. He goes to Josh Moore from 4for4.com. 8:02 is Emmanuel Sanders, followed by a couple of tight ends. Tyler Eifert to Matt Schauf. David Njoku to Mike Dente and Adam Angelillo. Those are the second tight ends drafted by both those squads. Trio receivers after that, it's Will Fuller to Michael Nazarek. It's Devin Funchess to Glenn Lowy. It's Cooper Kupp to Scott Pianowski as his number 5 selected receiver. Marlon Mack off the board to the Amity Hookers. Mark Behrens, Jason Dare, FFPC Joe's there. Pierre Garçon is the number 5 receiver drafted by Scott Barrett, followed by Tom Brady. Jason Steves goes back-to-back quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Tom Brady in the 7th and 8th round. We know Robbie Anderson went to Shane Hallam, and then Robert Woods completes the round as the number 2 receiver drafted by Sky Eilers there tonight. And that completes the 8th round of action. We'll get back into it, but I want to get to the 403 and take this call right now. You are on the air with the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour crew. To whom are we speaking?
Hey Eric, it's Jason Steves phoning in. How's it going?
Jason Steves, the Canadian. Yeah, it's going good. Canadian Beavers selecting from the 3 spot tonight. You have had an interesting draft. Has this been going according to plan, Jason?
Somewhat. I mean, I probably jumped a little too early on Brady, maybe with the QBs falling, but no, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, you had to. I mean, if I were you, I like seeing Le'Veon Bell there at the 103. Certainly, that would have made me feel like, okay, this is gonna be a good draft. AJ Green at the 303. I had to love that pick too.
Yeah. I mean, Bell falling to me. I was gonna end up going Elliott, like I told you earlier, but yeah, Bell falling to me makes it definitely easy that I could wait on the running backs a couple more rounds and grab the 2 Adams and Green wide receivers there to start my draft.
Yeah, I mean, that's a strong 3 picks to start off your draft. You get Ajayi as your number 2 running back. He should be a high-volume guy this year. Talk a little bit about your expectations with Juju Smith-Schuster, because we got to believe that Le'Veon Bell is going to be a big part of what Pittsburgh does this year. You know Antonio Brown is going to get a lot of targets. Can Smith-Schuster end up being like a potential top 20 guy behind those guys in that offense this year?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, Antonio Brown is double covered all the time, right? There's going to be games where Juju breaks out. I mean, sometimes it might be a hit and miss, but in best ball, I think he only has so much upside.
Well,
go ahead.
To answer your question,
Yeah.
so you've only taken 3 wide receivers so far. This comes from the chat room. So,
Yep.
That's round 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Are you thinking there's a lot of sleeper wideouts that you still have left that are up your sleeves, so to speak?
Yeah, I think there's still quite a few left. I mean, I would have liked to grab one more wide receiver to get 4, but I needed tight ends, so I had to go back-to-back tight ends at the last couple picks here.
You know, you look at it, Jason, and I kind of alluded to this earlier in the show. I thought the fact that Scott Hoyt and Steve Dusek, when they took those 2 tight ends early, when they had Gronk and Graham both on their team early in the 4th round, I thought it might start sort of a domino effect of people scooping up tight end. You ignored that, though, and you waited until round 9 to grab a tight end. You get Howard and Ebron back-to-back there. Was it an easy decision to sort of ignore tight end and fill your roster up with guys like Ajayi, Smith-Schuster, Tariq Cohen, or were you considering any tight ends in those spots?
I mean, I did consider a few. I didn't want to pass up Juju, and I felt like I had to grab, I thought about Kittle, but I thought I had to get a 3rd running back with Cohen there, and then my idea was, wait, there'll be a few guys falling, and then just, you can hammer out tight ends. Technically, I mean, they don't have to be even your flex. They can just be one position, so I just need one good tight end a week, and if I get 3 or 4 of them, then I should be able to fill that position.
Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I thought it was interesting when you went with Russell Wilson, and then at the late 8th round you took Tom Brady. And I'm guessing, because you're an astute player, that you noticed that teams 1 and 2 did not have quarterbacks at that point. Is that what you were thinking by taking Brady there?
Yeah, exactly. I honestly thought both would wrap around, but they didn't. So that's the reason I took Brady first. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because one of them had 2 tight ends, one of them had 1 tight end. So you're like, you didn't have a tight end yet. So it's like, well, why didn't you take a tight end? Well, it makes total sense. You take the quarterback, and then Shane took Luck, but then you can get Howard. That totally made sense.
Then you get the Corey Clement pick to back up Jay Ajayi too. As far as locking up that Philly ground game, I think you're doing a smart job. Jason, did you? I don't even know if you paid attention to or followed the previous Pros versus Joe's draft boards at all. But I know you've done some DEs or some best balls, with the FFPC. As you look at this draft board, is there anything that has stood out to you as like, wow, I didn't see that coming, or this is something that I certainly didn't expect to see tonight?
I honestly expected after I took Brady that the QBs would go. Some of them did last a couple more rounds, so that was the one big surprise for sure that stood out. And honestly, wide receivers falling. I mean, there was some good later picks, like Alshon Jeffrey fell forever. I was tempted. There's no doubt about that. But I had my big three, so I thought I'd go Russell Wilson. But
yeah, the three receivers and those top two running backs, really top three running backs, are going to be the backbone of this team, and obviously the quarterbacks too. Getting Wilson and Brady, it's going to be tough for people to replicate that kind of fantasy goodness that you're going to get from the quarterback position. Jason, I'm going to let you get back to it. Thanks so much for chiming in with us tonight. Good luck in Pros versus Joes. Good luck in the main event in all your leagues this year as well, man.
Before you hang up, Jason, what else are you doing? Are you doing you sometimes do some of the kind of the weirder drafts? Are you doing like the bare knuckles or off the grid or anything live in Vegas?
Yeah, I'm not signed up. I missed the bare knuckles. It filled up. It was too bad. I'm going to do some Terminators and stuff like that, but unfortunately I missed out. I think off the grid filled up too, so I kind of missed out on that one. But oh well, maybe next year.
That's okay.
Yeah,
maybe next year, indeed. When you're celebrating winning the FFPC main event.
Yeah, exactly.
Jason,
exactly.
be good, man. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. We'll see you later. Bye.
Thanks.
Jason Steves, Canadian Beavers joining. By the way, former co-host of the show, filled in for you one week.
That's great.
And by the way,
awesome. We're good buddies in Vegas.
By the way, on the short list to replace you.
Hey, cool, man.
And you know the other thing? The short list, it's becoming the long list. There's
That's
just,
all the weeks I missed.
People are fiending to hashtag replace the Dizzle.
You know, I wouldn't mind just hanging out and listening to you host the show and someone else being on it. And I'm just sitting here watching, Goodfellas or Shawshank Redemption or whatever's on AMC.
I'm telling you right now, there's no way you would do that.
What?
If we were in the studio and you came to the studio and I was here and I was doing the show and
but I didn't have the audio.
It doesn't even have to be Goodfellas. It could be any random. You are not listening to me do the show. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm not enjoying it. I'll tell you that.
Nah. Whatever.
You do a very nice job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Mostly on the slowdown.
It's always good to get a bone tossed my way every now and then. So thank you so much, Dizzle.
Record that.
Exactly. Ninth round, we'll kick that off, and then I'll maybe get through the 10th round here. Marquise Goodwin is the third receiver drafted by Yosemite Sam Bradford. Sky Eilers takes him at the 9:03 tonight. We already talked about Shane Helms, Andrew Luck pick. O.J. Howard to Jason Steves at the 9:03. Aaron Jones is the fourth running back chosen by Scott Barrett from Pro Football Focus. Drew Brees is the fifth selection of the 9th round tonight to the Amity Hookers, Mark Behrens and Jason Dare. Isaiah Crowell, number 4 running back selected by Scott Pianowski, followed by Carson Wentz, the backup quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles right now.
Nice.
Wentz is the first quarterback chosen by Glenn Lowy. Jordy Nelson off the board as he is the fourth receiver chosen by Michael Nazareth here. Patrick Mahomes, Mike Dente and Adam Angelillo take Patrick Mahomes as their number 1 quarterback in the 9th round. Good on you. Ty Montgomery carved out a role in the Packers backfield. He's carved out a role on Matt Schauf's best ball team here from Draft Sharks, as Ty Montgomery is the 9-10 selection. Carlos Hyde to Scott Hoyt and Steve Dusek in the penultimate pick in the 9th round, followed by Kirk Cousins. Final selection of the 9th round, 4for4.com's Josh Moore taking Kirk Cousins. Patrick Mahomes going off the board before the $1 billion Kirk Cousins, Dave.
$1 billion?
Well, whatever they signed him for, it was a lot.
I think he still drives like a Mercury Lynx or something, doesn't he?
I don't know. I don't even know if you're making that up or being serious.
I'm just saying I thought his thing was he was always like a modest guy.
Okay.
A hard worker.
All right, fair enough. Well, he's going to be working hard to try to catch up to Patrick Mahomes at fantasy points this year.
Cousins probably rolling around in a Lamborghini Aventura, killing him with a $300,000 car.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said for somebody who's had the success of Mike Dente in the FFPC main event, the Football Guys Players Championship, grabbing the elusive Patrick Mahomes here in the 9th round.
He's
really
good.
like that. Boy, if only Patrick Mahomes and Corey Davis were on the same team. I mean, that's the ultimate PBJ stack.
That's a super team, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The bulky super team.
That would be like the Warriors, the Golden State Warriors of fantasy football. It's just like, why are you ruining it for everybody?
We did that was it last year where we had our, we called it our teams? Like all the guys we hyped up?
We did that. Well, I'll say this. We did it the first year we did the show. We had our teams and we put 5 on it, and you destroyed me on it. And I don't think I've ever, decided we should do that again.
We should do it again this year, and make sure that like the ADPs average.
That's the thing. That's why we did. I don't think we've done it because you have to. There's a lot of work that goes into one $5 bet. It's easier to split those bets up into.
It's not about the bets. It's about who you really like for the season.
No, it's about the work of keeping track of all those players for one.
We don't have to do it as a bet. We should just do it as talking smack them.
Yeah, well, we started to do that with Scott Fishbowl, don't we?
Who knows? Let's move on.
All right, fair enough. I'll see what we can do. Maybe we'll put something together this year. We don't really have anything going on. We can figure it out.
Yeah, we do it on the way to Kentucky.
On the way to Kentucky, fair enough. 10:01 pick is Cameron Meredith to Josh Moore from 4 for 4. Matthew Stafford is the backup quarterback for Scott Hoyt and Steve Dusick, backing up Aaron Rodgers there. Devontae Parker to Matt Shelf, followed by Nick Chubb. Browns running back goes in the 10th round tonight. He's at the top of the shelf. We have no idea where this guy is going in any given Pros vs. Joe's draft. Might be the 7th round, might be the 13th round. He will get selected at some point. We just don't know. Tonight it was the 10th round. Benjamin Watson backing up Jordan Reed for Michael Nazarick tonight. Cameron Brate is the second tight end chosen as well by Glenn Lowy. Here in the mid-10th round, Phillip Rivers is the first quarterback chosen by Scott Pianowski. He waits until round 10 to grab one, and it is Phillip Rivers. Devontae Booker to the Amity Hookers right after that. A couple of tight ends after Booker. It's Charles Clay going to Scott Barrett from Pro Football Focus. And then it's Eric Ebron going to Jason Steves as his back-to-back tight end selections of O.J. Howard and Eric Ebron take place. Nelson Aguilar goes to Shane Hallam. And then Matt Ryan is the first quarterback chosen by Sky Eilers here at the end of the 10th round. I'm going to fly through the 11th here, and we'll get into some team analysis, Dave.
Yeah, better start flying.
Ben Roethlisberger, second consecutive quarterback selected by Sky Eilers at the 11:01. Anthony Miller off the board to Shane Hallam at the 11:02.
Quite a bit earlier than our guys, than Mueller and Roach.
Yeah, Mueller and Roach, obviously Jeremy Roach living in Chicago, likes Anthony Miller, says, told Danny that they needed to get him. And he goes last night. I thought I still had it up. It's here somewhere. Oh, receivers are yellow.
15:06.
15:06, so quite a bit later. So he goes, maybe, honestly, maybe it was the interview that that had him shooting up to Shane. Shane does his research on all these Pros versus Joe's drafts. He knows what's going on. So
yeah, he knows those guys are smart.
Yep.
And he's smart too, so why not?
He is.
He knows what camp reports are saying.
It's a match made in heaven. The notorious RSJ goes to Scott Barrett. That's Ricky Seals-Jones at the 11:04. Theo Riddick right after that to the Amity Hookers as their number 5 running back. Jimmy Garoppolo, second consecutive quarterback drafted by Scott Pianowski. He pairs Garoppolo with Phillip Rivers. Austin Safarian-Jenkins is the third tight end selected by Glenn Lowy to go with Jack Doyle and Cameron Brate. Bilal Powell, fourth running back chosen by Michael Nazarick. The TE3 for Mike Dente and Adam Angelillo is Jared Cook, followed by Austin Hooper, the number 3 tight end for Matt Schauf. James White goes off the board at the 11:11 tonight to Hoyt and Dusick, and then Mitchell Trubisky backing up Kirk Cousins for Josh Moore from 444.com. So that is our
444.
444.com.
Which make it sound like it's 444.
Anybody who's
Anybody
who's worth their salt in this industry, Dave, knows what 444 is. I do not have to go into
444.
Yeah, exactly.
Would that be FOR 4?
444.com.
4?
Yeah.
FORE.
Yeah. They probably own all the domains. Whatever you go to. Yeah. .org, .net, .gov. They got it. Let's get into team analysis, Dave, as we get into the home stretch of the Pros vs. Joe's competition.
This is the last team analysis we'll be doing for the next 50 some days.
For Pros vs. Joe's, it is.
Yeah, I know. We have the stupid other thing.
We'll get into that later at the end of the show. Sky Eilers, running backs are Todd Gurley, Joe Mixon, Ronald Jones, Dion Lewis, and Giovanni Bernard. Receivers Jarvis Landry, Robert Woods, Marquise Goodwin, and DJ Moore. Tight ends are Zach Ertz and George Kittle. Quarterbacks are Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger. Love this team, love the construction. The question is, can he build enough receiver depth to make it a strong one that can compete for the league title?
I mean, you look at you take some of these running backs for granted. I mean, Gurley, Joe Mixon, Ronald Jones, Deion Lewis.
Then I'm not taking him for granted.
And then Gio with Mixon. That is an amazing group of running backs. It really is.
Very
really, really, really strong. Ertz with Kittle is super, super strong. Ryan and Roethlisberger is really, really great as well. And he's got a great core of wide receivers with a lot of rounds to go. And receivers are semi-cheap in this draft. Landry, Woods, Goodwin, and DJ Moore. I really like this team quite a bit. I think he's done a fantastic job. I'm glad Sky called in yesterday.
Yeah.
And shared some of his strategy. He's a little bit nervous on the phone, which was actually I thought was endearing. I think he's a cool guy.
But I think the reason he was nervous on the phone is like, okay, I want to talk, I want to seem intelligent because I am, but I don't want to give away anything what I'm going to do.
Maybe
so it's just like he didn't want to say too much.
Very nice team so far. I like it a lot.
You didn't even mention the tight ends, Ertz and Kittle.
I did. But
you did. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't even realize you mentioned the tight ends, Ertz and Kittle.
Yeah, they're good.
Shane Hallam, David Johnson, Darius Geis, Lamar Miller, Kerryon Johnson, Peyton Barber at running back. Receivers, T.Y. Hilton, Michael Crabtree, Robbie Anderson, Nelson Aguilar, and Anthony Miller. Tight end is Kyle Rudolph, and quarterbacks are Andrew Luck and Derek Carr. I don't have a whole lot to say that I haven't already said. You know, we had Shane on earlier in the show. Can he build the tight end depth behind Rudolph? I love Rudolph. I think he's going to be great. The question is, can he get some depth behind him to make this a strong position week in and week out?
Well, he kind of punted tight end too, and I think that's okay if Rudolph stays healthy. And he was healthy last year. Other years he's not so much. His running backs again: David Johnson, Geis, Miller, Kerryon Johnson. That's a really super strong core running back team. So I love that he's leading from that. Luck and Carr are great. Rudolph's fine. Hilton, Crabtree, Anderson, Aguilar, Miller. That's a little bit of the weakness, just like Yosemite Sam. But I think he's really in fine shape, progressing through the rest of the draft. Teams 1 and 2 are both really good. Yeah. This might be the draft where I like a lot of teams. It's weird because there's a lot of other drafts where I didn't like all the teams, but the first 2 are really good here.
Yeah. Moving on to Jason Steves here. Le'Veon Bell, Ajay Ajayi, Tariq Cohen, Corey Clement, Chris Carson at running back. Receivers, Devontae Adams, A.J. Green, Juju Smith-Schuster. Tight ends, O.J. Howard, Eric Ebron. Tight ends are Russell Wilson and Tom Brady. He's also got the Jags defense as well. We just actually talked to Jason about this. We talked about how dominant his trio of receivers is at the top. He's going to have, and you mentioned this, he's going to have to fill in some receivers in the second half of the draft. He knows what he needs to do. I think the top 3 running backs are all very good. To get Clement to pair with J.J., I thought that was a good job. He has the starting running back in Seattle, Chris Carson, right now.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that with Scott Barrett's team, by the way, but go ahead.
And so that was a good selection. And then Howard and Ebron are good, but they're both timeshare guys. So you probably want to get another couple of tight ends to go with those guys.
I agree with you. I would actually get 2 more tight ends. I think that's definitely the kind of the so-called weakness of his team. I think if Steve's had a chance to go back and almost pass on Russell Wilson for Jeffrey, knowing that he was going to get Brady, I mean, who the hell knows that, right?
Right.
I think he would have been okay with that because that was really, got Brady in the 8th round. If he had Adams, Green, Juju, and Jeffrey, he'd been a little bit happier. But this team's, again, pretty solid. Tight ends are a little bit of a concern, but he's got plenty of time to kind of address that.
Scott Barrett.
Carson's pick was a great pick in the 13th round.
I agree. Scott Barrett from Pro Football Focus, Jerick McKinnon, LaShawn McCoy, Rashad Penny, Aaron Jones at running back. Receivers, Antonio Brown, Demaryius Thomas, Josh Gordon, Alshon Jeffrey, Pierre Garçon, Sterling Shepard. Tight ends, Charles Clay, Ricky Seals-Jones. Quarterback thus far is Dak Prescott. David, we might have the deepest receivers, maybe the best receiver core in the league here as he goes easily 5 deep. You make the case that he goes 6 deep with Sterling Shepard. But it comes at a cost. Now, I'm fine with Dak Prescott being the only quarterback on his roster thus far, but he will have to address that shortly. The trio of running backs up at the top, Penny, I'll let you break that down, but there is some question marks with McCoy and McKinnon. Maybe not big question marks, but they're there. And then Aaron Jones obviously suspended for the first 2 games of the season. You're going to have to watch if that puts him behind the 8 ball or if the cream rises to the top there and he's able to take that Green Bay running back job and run with it. Clay and Seals-Jones at tight end. Probably want to get another couple of tight ends there to go with those guys since he waited so long to attack the position.
Yeah, it's okay to be kind of punting tight ends because his running backs and receivers are really, really great. McCoy's got some risk. Penny's got risk. And then he did not mitigate the risk in the 12th round or 11th round or wherever by taking Carson.
Yeah.
We let him fall to the 13th and did not, it's fine. But Penny's not the starter at this point, and the team is talking up Chris Carson. It's like when you have 3 core running backs, one of them is facing some sort of weird investigation going on, and Penny's a rookie. I think that, and then your 4th running back is suspended for 2 games. You take Carson, you kind of punt that, and you have Brown, Thomas, Gordon, Jeffrey, Garcon. That's fine. I mean, I know Shepard was a good value, but I don't think you needed to get him necessarily.
Still, with all those other receivers that he already had.
Yeah, having said all that, again, I like this team as well. The first 4 teams, I can't really rip on any of their teams. This 4th team is probably one that's most similar to how I would draft it, because I would have punted tight end and quarterbacks in the later rounds.
A kinder, gentler Dizzle on the show tonight.
Yeah, being nice, whatever.
Being nice, not taking shots.
They're drafting better. I think because these players did not go ape blank on tight ends, that it makes their teams it makes them look better.
I like how you selectively censor yourself on this.
Yeah, I know
show.
I said the S-H-I-T word twice already, so I don't want to say it through.
Okay. The Amity Hookers here. They have Mark Behrens and Jason Dare at the 5 spot tonight. Let's talk about their squad. Ezekiel Elliott and Christian McCaffrey lead the running backs to go with Marlon Mack, Devontae Booker, Theo Riddick, and Naheem Hines. Receivers Doug Baldwin, Julian Edelman, Sammy Watkins, and Kelvin Benjamin. Tight ends are Delaney Walker and Evan Engram. Quarterbacks Drew Brees and Case Keenum. I really like the running back depth on this team. I think Walker and Engram really solidify the tight ends. Totally fine with Brees and Keenum. A lot of question marks at receiver, and there's not a lot of depth to sort of mitigate that. You have Doug Baldwin. We touched on that with the knee issue. Julian Edelman obviously suspended for the first 4 games. Sammy Watkins. I mean, he's again, I'm warming up to him, but I'm not all the way there yet with him. And then you have Kelvin Benjamin catching passes for maybe the sprinkler himself, Josh Allen.
The sprinkler.
That's his new nickname on the show, the sprinkler.
I like that, actually. I love Elliott. I love Elliott and McCaffrey. I love Walker and Ingram, but it does come with a sacrifice of receiver. Baldwin is number 1. Given the current news, I think that's a concern. Edelman suspended. Yeah, the receivers are a little bit too weak. This is a team I'm not as big of a fan of due to those things.
Shane Hallam wants you to know that his tight ends are in great shape right now because he took, and this is a guy I was going to mention, took your boy, Luke Wilson, as the number 2 tight end.
I know he probably knows I hype up Luke Wilson, but I think that's a good pick, man.
Yeah, I know. I was actually going to say something. I'm like, I'm not going to say anything yet.
He's a metric superstar.
Metric superstar, indeed.
By the way, Shane did reference that we dogged his Jared Goff pick last year.
And it turned out great.
Yeah, surprisingly. But nevertheless, this year we like the Luke Wilson pick, so maybe I hope it doesn't turn out badly. I'll feel kind of bad.
Just so everybody's aware, when I dog a pick on the show, it's simply for good radio. Dave actually means it. So
I do.
I actually thought the Goff pick was a shrewd, great value last year. I just couldn't say it, for the sake of producing a good podcast.
Lucky, when you say something negative, you surely do mean it, because that's like 2% of the time.
I only see the positive in picks. I can only see the upside, which is probably why my teams have suffered so much downside over the years.
Luke Wilson, what a fantastic pick.
Scott Pianowski from Yahoo Sports is picking the 6th spot tonight. His running backs are Alvin Kamara, Devontae Freeman, C.J. Anderson, and Isaiah Crowell. His receivers, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, Golden Tate, Chris Hogan, Cooper Kupp. Tight end so far is Vance McDonald. He does have 4 quarterbacks: Phillip Rivers, Jimmy Garoppolo, Blake Bortles, and Andy Dalton.
That's hilarious.
So it's a little bit of an overkill on the quarterbacks. I don't think he needed to do that, and it's hurting his tight end depth. He's very top heavy with running backs, with both Kamara and Freeman, but it gets a little dicey after that. He's going to need Anderson and Kroll to get in the end zone quite a bit this year.
I think with Dalton, the reason he took Dalton is because he realized that teams 5 and 4 only had 1 quarterback. I don't know that he needed to necessarily do that, but it was kind of fun to see it happen.
He may not have less than 20 points on any given week at his quarterback position.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. His receivers are pretty darn good. Kamara, Freeman, that's fine. For Crowell and Anderson, I just feel like those guys are just like turds. But that's just my opinion. I don't really care for either of them.
Right.
Cooper Kupp nice pick in the 8th. Well, it seems it's tad early for Cooper Kupp. Quarterback's fantastic. Vance McDonald, he's the only one, and he's a sleeper. That's a problem a little bit. Your tight end's going to be a problem.
Cup does go at the 901 on average for the best ball format. So, I mean, Cup probably wasn't coming back to him. I mean, there's a shot that he's coming back to him, but you want him, you got to get him.
We've seen him go on the 10th in some of these, but that's all right. I get it.
All eyes were on Glenn Lloyd to see how his draft would turn out tonight. And from the 7th spot, he goes at running back Saquon Barkley, Jordan Howard, Sony Michel, Tevin Coleman. Receivers Julio Jones, Larry Fitzgerald, Devin Funchess, Kenny Stills, and Dez Bryant. Tight ends are Jack Doyle, Cameron Braid, Austin Safarian-Jenkins. Quarterbacks are Carson Wentz and Alex Smith. Not just because he's a great FFPC customer, Dave, but this is a good team. This is a very solid team.
Yep, I totally agree, actually. He's just done a nice job. Barkley, Howard, Michel, fantastic.
Yep. Even Tevin Coleman in the 7th. I mean, don't underestimate that.
I'm not a huge Coleman fan, but it's nice. And, Kenny Stills and Dez Bryant late, that's pretty fantastic. And the quarterbacks and tight ends should work out. Yeah,
I mean, to get 3 tight ends by round 11 in this draft, if he gets one more quarterback, I think he's in good shape. Everybody underestimates Dez Bryant, but if he is signed somewhere, I mean, that's a significant pick in the 14th round. And he has that Julio Fitz backbone there to add his receivers. So I think this is a strong draft from Glenn Lowy. Michael Nazareth from FFMastermind.com was in the 8th spot. He goes Kareem Hunt, Mark Ingram, Duke Johnson, Bilal Powell at running back. Receivers, Michael Thomas, Stephon Diggs, Will Fuller, Jordy Nelson, Marquise Lee. Tight ends are Jordan Reed, Benjamin Watson, and Vernon Davis. And quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson and Eli Manning. I think Mike's a veteran in this competition. He's done awesome in it before. I mean, I believe he has 2 top 5 overall finishes in the pros.
Who?
Yeah, Nazareth.
Nazareth?
Yeah, he does very, very well in this. So I think what he did.
Nazareth's pretty slick, dude.
What he did a good job here is really balancing everything out. He is not going to be caught short-handed at any position. I guess you maybe could question the running back depth a little bit with only 4 on his roster, but I think he's good and deep at receiver. He's got 3 tight ends through round 14. I think he did a good job there. I'm picking at nits when I say this because I feel like his structure is a structure that I would definitely get on board with. He maybe chose some players that I wasn't a huge fan of, but I mean this roster has all the potential to win this league. Yeah,
I look at Nazareth and I would have taken Cooper Kupp or Will Fuller. That's just my personal opinion. I like what I think he did well with structure, and this is kind of what you're getting at. He took Reed, he took Watson at 5 and 6, and that's a little bit to take those 2 at that spot. That's a tad bit early, but then he stretched them out. He stretched out tight end and quarterback into later rounds. So I think he did a fine job overall it's a very good balanced team. Nice job.
Mike Dente in the 9th spot tonight at First Stop Fantasy on Twitter. Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry, Jamal Williams, and Nick Chubb at running back. Keenan Allen, Tyreek Hill, Brandon Cooks, Tyler Lockett at receiver. Trey Burton, David Njoku, Jared Cook at tight end. And the quarterbacks are Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, and Jameis Winston. Love the quarterbacks, Dave. I think the tight ends he did a very good job there as well. There's a lot of explosiveness with the receivers, including a target hog at the top with Keenan Allen. And you got to love the value of Tyler Lockett in the 14th as well.
The number 1 for the Seahawks?
Yeah, allegedly, yeah. And, I guess, I don't know. Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry, how many passes are they going to catch?
Like 15.
And
combined.
He gets Jordan Wilkins here, by the way, in the 15th.
At least he has Chubb, though. He catches. He doesn't catch any passes.
So you'd like to get pass-catching running backs, but those should both be high-volume guys at least. Again, another competitive team here from Mike Dente.
Yeah, it could be a ton of touchdowns actually. Chubb. I thought Chubb in the 10th round is super nice value. Fournette, Henry, Chubb. Those are a lot. That's a lot of carries. And then Jamal Williams, who knows? Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, not really sure exactly. Burton and Njoku's fine. And then Cook, the quarterbacks are fantastic as well. I think it's a pretty competitive team.
Jamal Williams strikes me as the guy that nobody wants to win the Packers running back job, but is probably going to be the guy to win the Packers running back job.
Probably.
The majority of snaps will probably go to him this year. So I think you look at getting a guy like that in the 7th round. That's
my general position. Like I said, I'm not trying to invest in Packers running backs. Let somebody else figure that out.
Okay. Matt Schaub from DraftSharks.com. Running backs: Melvin Gordon, Dalvin Cook, Marshawn Lynch, Ty Montgomery, Receivers, Adam Thielen, Corey Davis, Devontae Parker, Kenny Galladay, Josh Doxson. Tight ends, Greg Olson, Tyler Eifert, Austin Hooper. Quarterbacks are Cam Newton and Marcus Mariota. Did I already say the quarterbacks?
Who knows?
Oh, my gosh.
This is the sixth show.
Yeah, it's
No,
the last 10 minutes of the sixth show.
Exactly. Shane, Lance, and Watts guy are paying attention. No one else cares.
Okay. So we have
like 3 people
We
left.
have 3 invested listeners.
Aunt Jemima's left. Bourbon City Ballers is left. Whatever. It's like these 5 awesome people. Aunt Jemima, Bourbon City Ballers, Shane, Helen, Lance, and Watts guy.
Yeah.
Reed. That's it. No one else matters.
Yeah.
We're just doing this show for you guys.
The diehards. That's all we care about. So you look at Matt Schauf's team, and he took this is a team that reminds me of Michael Nazarik's a little bit in that the structure I think is the structure I would have, but the players
They're all the worst.
Well, they're not the worst, but I mean, like, yeah, I do like Greg Olson. I do like Corey Davis.
In the 6th, by the way, Corey Davis at the 603. That's not cheap.
Yeah, it's not cheap. I don't know if I would have gone with Tyler Eifert where he went. I don't know if I would have invested a single-digit pick in Ty Montgomery. In Devontae Parker, I mean, it is 10th round, but it is still Devontae Parker.
Bulky, this is, by the way, the second consecutive draft that the drafter took Corey Davis and Devontae Parker.
Oh, yeah.
Does that concern you at all?
Yeah, I mean, there's
that the ultra-buffed Devontae Parker is getting drafted by the not-yet-a-bust Corey Davis.
Good. I'll just say this, too. Good upside with Galladay and Doxson.
Actually, I agree with that. In fact, all the wide receivers, as much as I joke around, Corey Davis, Parker, Galladay, Doxson, all have upside. Those are good high-stakes type picks as well. Eifert has upside. He has, downside of 18th vertebrae or is broken, whatever.
Right. Yeah. Or whatever soft tissue injury
whatever
he's sporting this year.
Yeah. The team's got a shot. There's some risk, though.
Bourbon City Ballers chimes in, says we're doing great. He wants more jury duty stories. So we'll have to get called again, I guess, and regale everybody with more tales from the courtroom with David Maloney. Yeah.
We should get AP Jack Honda calling.
Oh, that'd be great. We have so many lawyers that we've had on the show. They could probably.
We should have like a lawyer stories segment. Like Better Call Saul, like just weird stuff.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Certainly for the last few minutes of show 6, that would be a great idea. Scott Hoyt and Steve Dusick from the 11th spot tonight. Kenyon Drake, Royce Freeman, Carlos Hyde, James White at running back. Receivers, DeAndre Hopkins, Jamison Crowder, Emmanuel Sanders, Alan Hearns, Calvin Ridley. Tight ends, Rob Gronkowski and Jimmy Graham. Quarterbacks are Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, and Tyrod Taylor. Stephen Gostkowski is the kicker. The Vikings are the defense. So you go with the early tight end strategy where he gets Gronk in the 2nd, Graham in the 4th. It comes at a price, and I thought he did a good job with receivers. Not a huge fan of the running backs, I guess. There's some unknowns there with that backfield. There are no unknowns with his quarterbacks. They're going to be fantastic. The tight ends are obviously great. I don't have a problem with the receivers either. Running backs is the question for me.
When you invest half of your first 6 picks in tight end and quarterback, it's going to leave you weak at running back. Freeman to me seemed like a little bit of a reach at the 5'11". So then you're left with Crowder and Sanders as your top 2 receivers. I think that's it's a little bit of a weakness. So I think that there's a definite concern at that position, at a few positions, mostly running back and receiver, and that's where I don't want to have problems.
Final team we will recap in the 2018 FFPC Pros versus Joe's competition is 444s.com. Josh Moore, excuse me. He has his running backs Alex Collins, Rex Burkhead, Chris Thompson, Matt Breida, and Buck Allen. Receivers, Odell Beckham, Allen Robinson, Marvin Jones, Randall Cobb, Cameron Meredith, Rashard Matthews, Chris Godwin, and Tyrell Williams. The tight end thus far is Travis Kelce, and then quarterbacks are Kirk Cousins and Mitchell Trubisky. So he's awesome at tight end at the top, but there's got to be some depth there. I want to see that. He has great wide receiver depth. I think he did a good job there. Running back stable, I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not the biggest Alex Collins fan in the world. Certainly Rex Burkhead looks like he's in a timeshare. Chris Thompson, obviously the leg news that came out today does not bode well. Breida was a good value. Buck Allen's going to catch passes. That was good. I don't have any problems with Cousins and Trubisky either. Just not one of my favorite teams in this draft tonight.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wide receivers and 1 tight end. This Kelsey, but you need more tight ends. Kelsey has bye weeks. He will have a week where he's like 2 for 24 or 3 for 30, and you need someone else out there. So that, again, the point you made about running backs, too, I agree. Collins, Burkhead, and Chris Thompson, Breida, and Javorius Allen are not the guys you want to go to war with as your core running backs, especially when you look at, when you're competing against a team like Yosemite Sam with Gurley, Mixon, Ronald Jones, and Deion Lewis, and Giovanni Bernard, that's just so tough to compete against that.
Right.
So I think that's what definitely his weakness. I think that's going to come back to bite him.
It certainly may, and we'll see. I mean, this is, we give these team analyses, I guess, as it were. We give these on the show with a limited amount of information. This is still July. I mean, August will be here in actually a couple hours. It's actually almost here on the East Coast. But all we can do is go off what we think, the team structure, what we think of these players. It will all play out over the course of the 2018 FFPC and NFL season. So it was a lot of fun. We had another great time covering the Pros versus Joe's draft this year. I guess I don't have any overarching themes, Dave. I was thinking about this on the way to the studio tonight. The one thing that I think really stuck out to me, covering all 6 of these drafts this year, of 5 coming into this one.
Avoid Mike Evans?
No, definitely not.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Over the years in the Pros versus Joe's competition, I feel like there's been a significant amount of haves and have-nots when we've done these drafts, when we've given the analysis at the end of it. I feel that was few and far between this year. I feel like all 6 of these drafts, they're so competitive, so well balanced, and I think I alluded to it a couple of nights ago. You can see that overall leaderboard flipping back and forth, like a slot machine over the entire course of the season. I think everybody really did their homework this year. Everybody's pretty familiar with the format, and it's going to be a wild ride to follow these teams throughout the season, both at myffpc.com and fantasymojo.com.
Yeah, I had a great time. This is really fun. This is the best year as far as enjoyment for myself. So
I'm so glad.
That's all I care about is how much fun I have.
How much fun you have. I'm so glad to hear.
I hope all the 72 players and pros, Joes,
right,
whatever, had a good time.
I'm thrilled to hear that you had a great time. That this was so much fun.
We should all enjoy ourselves. This is what life's about, man.
It is.
Stay positive.
I feel like something's missing.
The economy's good. Unemployment's low.
There's a void. I feel like I have one more of these live draft coverage shows in me.
Oh, no.
I feel like I got one more.
Come on, really?
One more before the start of the season.
Fine, I'll do another one.
Why don't we cover the Pros versus Joes, the Football Guys Players Championship Friday night?
A real draft with real people that pay real money?
Right, exactly.
Not these fakies?
It is the live on HSFF, our FPC draft. This Friday night, we will be going on 1 hour early, 9/8 Central, to cover it. The lineup tonight, it's chock full of former guests and co-hosts of the show. Jimmy Wagner will be drafting first, followed by Biplab Mandel, who, by the way, changed his team name to...
The sound ended, by the way. No one's listening.
The Notorious BIP. No, the sound ended for the live listeners. The podcasters are still hearing this. The Notorious BIP is drafting too, and that is his team name. He changed it to that, which is fantastic. Hudson Kern-Reeves, the Truth Warrior, is drafting third. Tony Pung, Frank Imbornoni, 2 of the more familiar faces in this draft. Emerson Rammel will be drafting 6th, followed by John Terry, who is in the chat room tonight as Aunt Jemima. Kurt Kikas, who drafted, you heard him drafting Pros versus Joes. He's going to be drafting 8th. Dean Sykes is 9th, our good friend from Hong Kong. Drafting under the team name Hong Kong is Ray Chung. Ken Orovitz.
Dean Sykes, that's his team name?
Dean Sykes is the name of the player. Lazy Crickets is the name of his team.
What does Ray Chung have to do with that?
Hong Kong is Ray Chung's team. He is in this league as well.
Right.
Ken Orovitz at 11th, and then Vince Staffolino, who I believe I think he picked 12th in Revelations this year, and he's picking 12th in the exposed high-stakes fantasy coverage of the FPC. So that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, for not only for our show tonight, but for the Pros versus Joes coverage of the high-stakes, on the high-stakes fantasy football hour this season. I want to thank Darren Armani, our mutual friend and producer Rob, audio engineer Bryce, Dave Garza at the FFPC, everybody who made this possible. The YouTube feed will be cut shortly, but you can check out all the final draft boards on our social media accounts tomorrow, as well as the FFPC message boards as well. Thanks to Brad Pinkstaff, Danny Mueller, Shane Hallam, and Jason Cease for calling in and hanging out with us. I really appreciate it. Sign up for your leagues at myffpc.com. Your week continues now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com that was broadcast live and heard around the world. Eric and Dave will be back next week with more analysis, interviews, and advice from a guest much smarter than they are. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk with you again next week.
About to call your ass a Uber, I got somewhere to be. I hear fairy tales about how they gon' run up on me. Well, run up when you see me, then we gon' see. I got enemies, got a lot of enemies, got a lot of people trying to drain me of this energy, trying to take the wave.
So if my, Balky's team, if we're doing this year, if it's led by Corey Davis and Patrick Mahomes, who is the Dizzle version of Mahomes and Davis this year? Who are the two guys that you're planting your flag in and are super excited about? I guess McCaffrey would have to be one, right?
Yeah, if you're saying random players.
Yeah. I mean, we'll figure out with ADP and everything, but McCaffrey's got to be one of yours. I don't know who your second tout would be. DJ Moore?
Same team.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know.
Let me think about it a little bit.
You think about it. Get back to us. We're going to have 2 hours of beautiful radio on Friday night for you to spill the beans on that. Thanks so much, PVJ listeners. We'll talk with you again soon.
Amazon has everything for back to school. Zebra lunchbox? Check. Cool Adidas gear like t-shirts, shoes, and backpacks? Check. Triceratops folders and pencils? Check. Laser Cat t-shirts? Check. Get your back to school shopping done now at amazon.com/back-to-school and enjoy free shipping on millions of items. No need to leave your home or hassle with crowds. Amazon.com. No better place to get everything back to school from A to Z. Amazon has everything for back to school. Zebra lunchbox? Check. Cool Adidas gear like t-shirts, shoes, and backpacks? Check. Triceratops folders and pencils? Check. Laser Cat t-shirts? Check. Get your back to school shopping done now at amazon.com/back-to-school and enjoy free shipping on millions of items. No need to leave your home or hassle with crowds. Amazon.com. No better place to get everything back to school from A to Z.